happening on Thursday. However, we found out later on why he bailed. Adam Schefter, ESPN.
The Baltimore Ravens have reached agreement with the former Los Angeles Chargers defensive coordinator, Jesse Minter, on a 5-year contract.
Minter's second candidate this week to bail on a second interview with the Browns. Former Dolphins head coach Mike McDaniel canceled. He's expected to become the new offensive coordinator for the Chargers. Well, the Browns are still expecting to have a second interview with Jacksonville offense coordinator Grant Udinski today. If he gets the job, Udinski would be the youngest head coach ever hired, as he's only 30 years old. Turned that just a couple of weeks ago. It's believed that Udinski also has an interview set with the Bills coming up on Sunday. The Atlanta Falcons made it official on Thursday, naming Tommy Rees the new offensive coordinator. He rejoins former Browns head coach Kevin Stefanski, who was hired by Atlanta last weekend after being let go by Cleveland. Rees took over play calling duties from Stefanski midway through this past season. Cleveland charged last night, beating Birmingham 113-104 on the ice. Cleveland Monsters beat Chicago in overtime 7-6. Can now find 92.3 The Fan on YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to the best content from our shows each and every weekday. That's 92.3 The Fan on YouTube. Headline sports news every 20 minutes right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas. Up next, now for the Ken Carman Show with Anthony Lima here on 92.3 The Fan.
The Afternoon Drive.
I am officially annoyed with this coaching search. I am. And I want to be clear. I'm not annoyed at the Browns at all.
They're doing their due diligence.
As of right now, the Browns have done relative what I've asked them to do, right?
Casted a wide net, brought some names in there that not everybody was thinking about.
Brought some names in that we were thinking about. I think Jim Schwartz has a decent chance at this. I think that's something we asked for. I think looking for experienced coaches. They have brought in at least one or two of those guys on interviews. So it's not about the Browns. It is about the way this head coaching search is being talked about and the way people just can't say the words, I don't know.
The Afternoon Drive. Weekdays starting at 2. We are Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan. The Ken Carman Show with Anthony Lima.
The Browns are starting to wind down their head coach search and are holding second interviews as we speak. I said last week, this is a team that could target a coach who's a year away if they truly believe that coach is a future star. Jaguars OC Grant Udinski, who just turned 30 last week, and Rams pass game coordinator Nathan Shieldhouse both had excellent first interviews and are now finalists. There's also a question in league circles about how Jim Schwartz, whom the Browns would really like to retain as DC, would react to a hire like that. But the Browns believe they have a roster filled with young, future stars along with established talent. And the sense is their preference is to go young if they believe the right candidate is available. They don't want to force it. As for the two young finalists, I'm told Udinski will interview Friday, and Shieldhouse from the Rams is expected next week.
This is Cleveland Sports Radio, 92.3 The Fan.
And away we go. Happy Friday to everybody. It's Daryl Ryder, Nick Padone. The boys have the day off. Everybody is still freaking out because the Cleveland Browns do not have a head coach. The audio courtesy there of NFL insider Jordan Schultz on YouTube, talking about where things stand with this coaching search. We are down to the final four, but actually not the final four, because the Browns have yet to comply with the Rooney Rule, which means there is a mystery candidate out there somewhere that they have either already spoken with, or if they would like to hire a head coach, they might want to get that handled, I don't know, as soon as possible. One of the guys, supposedly, that they would like to talk to, Grant Udinski, the offensive coordinator for Jacksonville. He is supposed to be visiting with them in person today. However, they have to let him leave the building, no matter what, because they have not completed the requirements of the Rooney Rule, which is 2 in-person interviews with minority candidates. And I think that is at the crux of everybody's angst right now, because Udinski is scheduled to speak with the Buffalo Bills. They have Josh Allen. We do not. Nick, good morning to you. Welcome to the fun and frivolity of what is a Browns head coaching search. I do believe this is a first for you in your career. You have never gone through a Cleveland Browns head coaching search as a professional broadcaster.
Right, that's fair. I was managing socials back when Stefanski was hired in 2020. So yeah, first of broadcasting career, not first of media career. Okay. I'd say
semantics.
And there have been plenty of those.
I was hoping you would pick up on that one. 216-474-0092. Happy to take your calls this morning. A lot to get to when it comes to this coaching search again. Grant Udinski is scheduled today to meet with the Browns about this opening. And look, if he cancels today, then I'm going to freak out.
Yeah.
Okay? Everybody lost their collective minds because Jesse Minter, the Chargers defensive coordinator, who interviewed with the Baltimore Ravens, I believe it was on Wednesday night, decided to stay in Baltimore and go ahead and take the Ravens job. Everybody lost their mind yesterday afternoon when Mary Kay Cabot of Cleveland.com and The Plain Dealer reported that Minter would not be speaking with the Browns yesterday. And, oh, my God, nobody wants this job. What are we going to do? We're utterly helpless. It's got to be because of ownership. It's got to be because of Shador. It's got to be because we have no quarterback. And just whatever, I guess, excuse to freak out that everybody came up with. Again, if Udinski doesn't show up today for an interview, then I'm going to get really nervous. Until then, I'm just going to sit back, relax, have a beverage or two, and watch this thing unfold.
Like, did anybody really think that Jesse Minter was going to be named the next head coach of the Browns? Like, if they were going to hire a defensive-minded coach, they're probably going to go with the guy that's been in the facility for the last 3 seasons and the guy that they interviewed first up in this entire process. So I also thought that some of the outrage and just panic in the streets was a little unwarranted. Like, does it stink that 2 of the guys that have made it to the final round of interviews withdrew? Yeah, that stinks a little bit. Yet at the same time, usually when you have a second round of interviews, you're not bringing back 50% of the talent pool, which is what the Browns did. So when McDaniel and Minter both dropped out, like, I don't think those guys were the targets. And we heard Jordan Schultz, that audio is courtesy of Jordan Schultz on YouTube in the open, where he's saying that Udinski and Scheelhaus are the favorites anyway. Well, why would Minter waste his time when he knew that he had the Baltimore job already in hand?
Well, and the other thing, too, is like with Mike McDaniel. And again, listen, the Browns give us plenty of material to dunk on them and
like be mad about.
Right, and to be angry about and all that. Listen, it did make me chuckle a little bit that a coordinator job was better than being a head coach here in Cleveland. But even that though, he also turned down Baltimore. Right. He also turned down Vegas. For whatever reason, the Browns were the ones that caught the stray from the reporting that came out prior to him accepting the job with the Chargers. But he walked away from 2 other NFL head coaching vacancies that had not been filled to that point yet, and we're still waiting on Vegas. If you want to talk about a job that nobody wants, try the Arizona Cardinals. Nobody wants that job, okay? And that is, by the way, 1 of 32, which is what we always say about the Browns. It's 1 of 32. Of course, somebody is going to want to take the job because, well, again, there's only 32 of these in the National Football League, and you're going to deal with whatever it is you have to deal with to get one of them. But Vegas, their search is still ongoing. The Miami Dolphins hired Jeff Hafley this week. Kevin Stefanski is getting the band back together in Atlanta because things went so well for him here in Cleveland. Offensively, I think he's basically saying it was them, not us. And I think that he might have a case for that as well. But selling that down in Atlanta is not going all that well, as I have seen some of the reaction there, not only to his hiring, but then bringing in Tommy Rees as well.
They're not too warm and fuzzy about that at all. Ooh. That feels like a strange fit. And they were tripping over themselves to hire Kevin Stefanski. Like, the owner cooked the steaks himself. He put the sprinkles on the ice cream for dessert. Like, it was all sweet when Kevin Stefanski was meeting with the team. But the fan base has not taken a liking to Coach Kevin, and certainly not Tommy Rees at all, based off what I've seen online.
And just wait until they get a load of his press conferences. If you think they hate him now.
Well, you think the question is going to be asked about the Baker Mayfield tweet, the Baker Mayfield post, the call out. That question is going to be asked. The fine people in Atlanta off rip from press conference number 1 are going to get a. Yeah, I understand the question, Orlando. That's not my focus right now.
We just have to coach better.
You might get that before the first game.
Got to watch the film.
You might have to go into the bag of the cliches before you even touch grass for training camp.
I've been on a few radio stations down in Atlanta. I've already warned them. If you're looking for entertainment from your head coach during a press conference, Kevin is not going to be your guy. And
yes, we need to do a better job. I need to do a better job, obviously.
I'm going to keep calling plays, but I want to stress we have to get better. For us, the focus is on being better. The big focus for us is we have to be better.
I think we're 2 games into this season. We are definitely going to be playing better as a team as this season goes on, and certainly the goal is to always get better. We need to all be better. We need to coach better. We need to block better, catch better, run better, all of the above. We need to be better. I understand the question. We have to play better as an offense. We have to coach better on offense.
Is that a yes then?
My focus is on making sure this offense plays better.
You know what? I need a moment. I've got a tear in my eye there. Just the memories. The memories of...
We need to put the
days of yore.
If these damn copyright laws didn't exist, we'd have Sarah McLachlan underneath.
Yeah, or like the sad music from the Titanic.
Make it feel better.
The lawyers ruin all the fun. They also keep us away from litigation. But you know what? We could probably save a lot of folks a lot of money in Atlanta just by sending them that audio. They can just they can run that through AI. They can transcribe it and just go ahead and insert their quotes into articles to come. There you go.
Oh, here you go.
We can be better. We will be better. Can Dylan play better? Yes, he can. Can we play better around him? Yes, we can. Can we coach him better? Yes, we can. That's something that we just have to be better collectively. I think there's things that we can do better around him. And
for us, the focus is on being better.
You know, so there was always a follow-up that it's in those settings, a little behind the curtain here for you, but in those settings, it's really hard to follow up on questions, okay? And the follow-up question that I never got to ask Kevin Stefanski after one of those quotes was, you have a timeline on that? I understand. You got to be better. We all watch the game. Do you have a timeline on the whole being better thing? What is there an ETA? When can we expect that to happen? That is what I have always wanted to ask Kevin as a follow-up. Could never get to it, but, you know, I think that maybe the fine folks in Atlanta, maybe will get that opportunity here.
You know, also they teach you, as a young up-and-coming journalist to ask open-ended questions. You know, you don't want
never answer your own question.
Right, and you don't want to set somebody up for a question where they could just give you a simple yes or no answer, because a lot of times that's a waste of a question. But I think another fair follow-up to we have to be better, all of this, is how. When you're running through your who, what, where, when, why, I land on how are you going to be better with this offensive staff, with this offensive line, with these wide receivers, with these quarterbacks. I think Kevin's whole we have to be better tirade oftentimes forgot about the how are we going to be better, because it was just much of the same throughout this entire calendar year for the Browns, and that's certainly disappointing to a lot of people for all the right reasons.
So flipping it back close to home, I am looking forward to figuring out what Grant Udinsky's catchphrases are, what maybe Nate Scheelhouse's catchphrases are, so that we can bring you those wonderful montages and save everybody a whole lot of time when it comes to the answers to questions that we all have.
So Hugh Jackson was famous for I've got to watch the tape. He wouldn't answer anything until he watched the tape. Freddie, I feel like, just gave everybody alphabet soup every time that he walked up there. Like, it was always a mixed bag of cliches with him, from if you don't wear brown and orange, you don't matter, to whoop-de hell. And, then when things went south, he just started word vomiting every time that a microphone was in front of him.
Listen, don't forget the Pittsburgh started a t-shirt.
That's all time. That is all time. And then obviously Stefanski was we have to be better. So yeah, there is an opening for the next Cleveland head coaching catchphrase.
But Grant Udinski again scheduled to talk to the Browns. So for the folks that are just going nuts over the fact that they don't have a coach yet, they've not fulfilled the Rooney Rule yet, that's probably the one criticism of this coaching search that I have, is that they don't know who they want, they don't know what they want, or they think they know what they want, but they're coming off as ill-prepared. The New York Giants knew they wanted John Harbaugh. They knocked out their Rooney Rule interviews, so as soon as Harbaugh was available to talk to them, they were able to quickly move forward with the hire. The Atlanta Falcons, similar with Kevin Stefanski, right? Once Harbaugh went off the board, the Falcons were prepared to hire Kevin. The Tennessee Titans, same thing. So because they're the Browns and there's just so much material that we can dunk on them for, the fact that now we're getting to guys who from day one we thought were going to be finalists for this job, Grant Udinski, Neil Schiehlhaus, right? Mike McDaniel was the only other Rooney Rule candidate that we knew of, and he canceled on them. And a couple of days have gone by, and as far as I know, they've not talked to anyone. But could there be a mystery candidate in there? Maybe they have satisfied the Rooney Rule, and we just don't know it. It's Daryl Ryder, Nick Padone, in for Ken Carman and Anthony Lima. It's the Ken Carman Show with Anthony Lima here on The Fan.
Hey, everybody, it's Andy Baskin for FanDuel, and FanDuel is turning on playoff mode. All customers get a
head coach opening, every organization has their own challenges, their own constraints. There may be at different points with their roster's lifestyle. We'll be looking for something different than maybe some of the other openings have, based on where they are as a team. And some good coaches will fit us, but they won't fit the Titans. Some will fit the Giants, and they won't necessarily fit us. But we're looking for the right leader and the right partner for our present situation, and I have a lot of confidence that we'll be able to find that person.
That was Browns Executive Vice President of Football Operations and General Manager Andrew Berry back on January 5th during his, hey, we fired Kevin, but I still get to work here, press conference on what he is looking for potentially in the next head coach. Of course, today the Browns scheduled to visit with Jacksonville Jaguars offensive coordinator Grant Udinski. I don't know, do we do the Baskin and Phelps thing and celebrate Grant Udinski Day there, Owen?
No, we don't do that on the show.
They were celebrating Jesse Minter Day yesterday.
And then it colossally blew up.
And then in the middle of the show, he went to the Baltimore Ravens. But I'm not sure how they wrapped that whole celebration up yesterday.
They didn't. They just kept going with they just kept going with it. They told Chris Rose, even though they were fully aware that Jesse Minter had canceled, they greeted Chris Rose onto the show by saying, "Happy Jesse Minter Day," if we're still celebrating that. And then Chris Rose just ran with it too. So they never really did it remained Jesse Minter Day, even though Jesse Minter canceled. So even if Grant Udinski cancels today remains Grant Udinski Day. That's the rules that have at least been set up previously.
Oddly enough, least surprising thing I have heard today. So today they're going to talk to Grant Udinski. They can't hire him, though. He can leave the building. He's supposed to go visit with the Buffalo Bills as well this weekend, although based on the forecast, I don't know how he's getting up there. Maybe they're going to have to.
Well, then that's the tactic, right? You just keep him here until Sunday morning, and then he'll get snowed in.
Oh, the snow. What are they calling it? Winter Storm Fern is going to lead us to our new head coach, Daryl.
Take Bart Scott's lead, trap him in the bathroom, make him hide out in there, and then he'll never leave.
Remember the Los Angeles Clippers NBA free agency where that meme went viral of the chair in front of the door? That's what we have to do here with Grant Udinski.
DeAndre
Jordan, don't let him out of the facility until Winter Storm Fern takes over. Could we get a late evening reservation this evening at some of the finer dining restaurants around the downtown or maybe Berea areas?
So the problem that the Browns find themselves in, maybe not so much problem, but the challenge of the current situation is the Rooney Rule and the fact that we are almost 2 weeks into this and they have yet to speak with one minority candidate in person, let alone two. Nate Scheelhaase is going to be one of those interviews next week. I actually came up with the guy that they need to speak with because Andrew Berry does not want to just go through the motions of the Rooney Rule. And let's be real about the situation. There are a lot of teams that do. Look what the Miami Dolphins did.
Look at what happened in Atlanta.
They interviewed two candidates in one day, back-to-back, and then 2 hours later named Jeff Hafley the head coach, okay?
Before Kevin was even hired in Atlanta, they were saying Tommy Rees was going to follow him there, and they had to interview the Tampa Bay Buccaneers wide receivers coach and some other guy, just completely wasting people's time.
And also keep in mind, too, you cannot interview someone within your own organization. These have to be external interviews that have to take place. Well, I came up with the guy. I was losing some sleep over this last night, trying to think of who the Browns could talk to where it would not just be performative. Like Mike McDaniel, even though I don't think he would get he was going to get the job, I thought he'd be an offensive coordinator candidate here, potentially, with the head coach interview. I came up with a guy. He's a former college head coach of a big program on the West Coast. He had a cup of coffee as a football executive with the Denver Broncos. He now works for the Detroit Lions as their passing game coordinator. I give you David Shaw. The Browns should talk to David Shaw. And listen, stranger things have happened. David could come in here and blow you away, and you end up hiring him. But I think talking to David would be a productive conversation to have. And who knows? You might end up with an offensive coordinator. Right now, he is the passing game coordinator, which I do believe in the hierarchy of coaching tree stuff in the NFL, right? An offensive coordinator would be a promotion, so you could hire him as an offensive coordinator. So I think David Shaw would be the perfect guy for Andrew Berry to talk to, not only as a legitimate head coaching candidate, but you get to kill two birds with one stone. You also get to fulfill one of your Rooney Rule in-person interview requirements. I've come up with crazier ideas, Nick. I think this one's pretty good.
Speaking of crazy ideas, I've got one that I'm surprised not more people are talking about. And you floated this idea that there could potentially be a mystery candidate that's out there.
Yes.
And there's precedent for this, right? Like perhaps they've talked to somebody at the college football level that wouldn't want that to be announced on a social media graphic with the Cleveland Browns branding because they have to worry about transfer portal and NIL and making sure that their roster is taken care of. If the Browns head coaching search does not go their way, they got to report back to campus here in really what probably will be just a short couple of weeks to get ready for spring ball and to start their college football season up. He is a Pro Football Hall of Famer. He played for the Atlanta Falcons. He played for the San Francisco 49ers. He played for the Dallas Cowboys, Washington Redskins, Baltimore Ravens.
Absolutely not.
He has some serious close ties to this organization, not just through DNA, but through blood, and that's because his son is the starting quarterback in Shedeur Sanders. And that's
absolutely not.
Coach Prime, Deion Sanders, who was ever present inside of that stadium throughout the last how many weeks of this season. Everybody, the media, yourself included, Daryl, made sure to point out that Coach Prime was there and seemed quite jubilant in his conversations with Browns ownership, including Jimmy Haslam. Who's to say that there wasn't some secret meetings that took place about Coach Prime being the next head coach of the Cleveland Browns? I'm not suggesting that he's going to be. I'm just saying that
he took one for the team.
I'm not saying that he took one for the team. Didn't he have a conversation with Jerry Jones, the Dallas Cowboys, last year about being a head coach in the National Football League once he knew that Shedeur and Travis Hunter weren't going to be on the Buffaloes that next season? And certainly Colorado had a regression year without Shedeur and Travis. So there's precedent for Prime to be entertaining NFL gigs. And he seemingly had a pretty solid relationship with Browns ownership dating back to Colorado's Pro Day Spectacular that they hosted. All of the Browns brass who took out Shedeur and Travis Hunter together to dinner. And I'm sure Prime had a presence there. There's a little bit of a relationship there, and there's precedent for this ownership group to do that. They've had secret meetings before. Remember some of the Harbaugh stuff that was out there years ago, that they were meeting with Jim Harbaugh behind the scenes while he was still in the college ranks?
Owen, it's 6:34. I'm ready for Tall Boy Friday.
You gotta wait. 3.5 hours.
I got 3.5 hours of this to go.
I mean, we can.
I just don't think it's like
buy the cans.
It's not wildly off base. This is a guy that was talking about an NFL job just this time last year. Was talking with that would have been the most high profile NFL head coaching job that you could ever have, is the Dallas Cowboys. And now you could have potentially an opportunity to coach your son with the Cleveland Browns.
There's a lot of stupid stuff said on this show by the two main guys that say stupid stuff on this show. Nick, you're jumping up there right now.
You're fitting in well.
I just don't.
If I was power ranking, I'm not going to. But if I was,
I think you should. I think you should power rank right now.
I mean,
I think you should power rank. Stupid stuff.
Why is it
on this
stupid?
show.
Why is it stupid? Because you've been floating the idea.
Did you watch what he's done as a head coach without the two guys that he's drug to different programs with him this season.
It didn't go well for him. And again, I'm not like pounding the table for Coach Prime to be the next head coach.
Who is he going to bring Pat Shurmur back to Cleveland to be the OC?
You know, honestly,
maybe Sean Lewis did a good job.
That would be a better option.
Did a good job at Ken. I know they fell out of favor up there in Boulder a little bit, but we've been floating the idea of mystery candidate and who would it be and why would it be so kept under wrap. That'd be the one that you would want to keep under wraps, no? Because if word got out about that, people's minds would break. Like, I'm looking at what's happening to you two in this room with me right now.
It would be much more towards the Cleveland Browns than towards the Colorado Buffaloes as far as wanting to keep it under wraps, because it makes absolutely no sense. It's an asinine comment.
Yeah, he didn't mind that the Dallas Cowboys thing was out there. It was content. He got to shoot it down.
Of course.
Yeah, he didn't mind that.
Andrew Berry is still a guy who is on his last legs of running an organization, right? And you want to talk about the guy that preceded him in John Dorsey and his epic flop of a coaching search move when he brought Freddie Kitchens and when he let Baker Mayfield pick the coach and he picked Freddie Kitchens, right? This would be the same thing. You'd be one and done. It'd be over with. Just not a great move for Andrew Berry if he wants to stay employed in the NFL for the next
All right, I'm
decade.
just saying, if we're throwing out names of mystery candidates, I don't hear anybody else. We got David Shaw. Okay,
David Shaw's a pretty good name to throw out there.
There's one.
Listen, don't you be dumping all over my David Shaw take,
No,
because
not dumping on David Shaw.
I actually put some thought into that, trying to come up with, because the Browns don't want to just do the, hey, we're checking a box here. And listen, I respect that. I do, because there's a lot of teams in the NFL that just want to check the box. So I respect their process of not wanting to just do that. But I'm here to tell you, Deion Sanders ain't going to be it. There will be no prime time in Cleveland, Ohio with Shedeur Sanders. Sorry to break it to you there, Nick. The Shermanator is not coming back to be the offensive coordinator either. 216-474-0092. What head coach, though, would excite you, right? I mean, you know, we're Googling candidates right now, trying to learn all about these guys that everyone says they know all about them, but we've never heard of them before. What head coach would excite you as a fan? It's Daryl Ryder, Nick Padone, in for the boys on the Ken Carman Show with Anthony Lama with you till 10 here on The Fan.
Nick Wilson here.
flowing 176 north from 480 to West 14th, as well as 90 east from 611 to Bishop. This is Joe Checkeye for 92.3 The Fan.
The radio home of the NFL in Cleveland.
This penalty's declined.
We are Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
As always, you can listen to this show and all of our local shows on The Fan on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. It's the Ken Carman Show with Anthony Lima. The boys have the day off. It's Daryl Ryder, Nick Padone with you till 10. Owen is in the house. Meredith is producing. Jeff Thomas, you just heard him on the 2020. So the rest of the gang is here, except for Tweedledee and Tweedledum. And I say that with all the love and affection that it's meant to.
I hope they're off finding a coaching candidate.
You know, I hope they're off helping Andrew Berry. Well, you know what? Here's the thing. We don't know who Ken Carman is hosting the coaches show with this year. So I can understand Ken being a little nervous this time of year.
Is Ken maybe hanging out at the airport? Is that what he's up to this morning? To do the driving work for the Browns, to pick up the candidate and take him to the headquarters?
I'm very glad, on a personal vindictive note, that Ken took the day off and that all the schools are closed and he has to be home with his whole family. Anthony, on the other hand, has 2 small children. He's sick. He sounded horrible yesterday. His wife made him go for a run. He ran 4 miles to try to run off a sickness. It didn't work. It just made him more sick. But
dude, trying to run in this weather, let alone trying to run it while you're sick in this weather, like, you know that feel like your lungs start.
Yes,
to
I know.
hurt.
I had that problem. But I walked from a parking lot into the building, and I spent like the first half hour here this morning coughing. Thankfully, that has gone away, and our listeners don't have to listen to that. But like it is, bundle up if you're headed out. It is bitter cold.
It's getting colder as the day goes by, too.
Yeah.
Welcome to Cleveland, Grant Udinski. Huh? Get a real taste of what it's like here. A little bit different than Jacksonville, Florida.
We got some Chamber of Commerce weather for you. Some news regarding the coaching searches to pass along. This from Albert Breer. The Bills are interviewing new Chargers offensive coordinator Mike McDaniel for their head coaching job today. McDaniel spent the last 4 years in the AFC East as Dolphins head coach, of course. And if he doesn't get that job, which, by the way, I think it's going to go to Brian Daboll. I think Brian Daboll is going to be the new Bills head coach. But again, so if you're wondering why there hasn't been any announcement out of L.A. with the Chargers, because remember on Tuesday, McDaniel said, yeah, no, I'm not going to come to Cleveland to interview for your head coaching job because I'm just going to go ahead and take this job with the Chargers. But all of a sudden now Mike McDaniel's perfectly happy speaking with the Buffalo Bills. Again, they have Josh Allen and the Browns do not, okay? That's what it all comes down to, okay? Is you have Shedeur Sanders, Dylan Gabriel, and Deshaun Watson. So keeping you on the old itinerary there. Let's see.
Yeah, but
those three guys are Justin Herbert.
To an extent, though, you are driving me a little bit crazy with like some of the just like overall negativity about the search in general, because like you've been saying you don't want any of these candidates. Like none of these candidates do anything for you. But we wanted to move off of Kevin Stefanski, right? We had to because he won 8 games over the last 2 seasons. So you've got to try something different. Like you can't just disparage every single candidate that walks through the door.
Listen, none of these guys excite me. All right, if you hire Jim Schwartz, I think it's a very temporary hire. It's a 1 to 2 year hire. Okay?
I'd agree, and that's probably not good because that's not where you're at right now.
So that does nothing for me as much as I love Jim. Just keep him as the defensive coordinator.
I'd agree with that.
I don't know about Grant Udinski. I don't know if he's the next Sean McVay 2.0. Same thing with Nate Shieldhouse. You know what I know about Nate Shieldhouse? That Sean McVay hands him the game plan and says, get this ready for the team meeting for me.
But don't you think, like, weren't people, like, throw a team out? Jacksonville weren't people in Jacksonville probably saying the same thing about Liam Cohen? That he had been an offensive coordinator for a couple of years in Tampa. Baker had a few good years for him, and then he was the next Canales, who got hired after being a Tampa Bay offensive coordinator. And he's had instant success with the Jaguars. He turned that thing around. They had the 5th pick. Now they've got the 24th. We know it well.
This franchise does not need an up-and-comer. They need a shapeshifter.
I disagree with that.
They need a complete culture changer. So they need somebody that's going to come in and flip that building on its head. They need somebody who has the cachet to tell people, get out of my office. Get off the practice field. We're about football here. That's it.
Well,
we're not about uniforms. We're not about stadiums. We're not about social media. We're not about headlines. We are about winning football. That is it. And I'm going to tell you right now, Grant Udinski doesn't have that resume. Nate Shieldhouse doesn't have that resume. Jim Schwartz, he's the closest, but he doesn't really have the resume either. Okay? That's what this organization needs.
So who would do that? Like you would then like Robert Saleh? You're looking for a guy like that?
I did not want Robert Saleh.
So who would it be? They had an opportunity to hire a guy like that in 2019, and it was Greg Williams.
Here's what Robert Saleh, as the head coach of the Cleveland Browns, would have been like. Oh, Deion Sanders, it's so great to see you. It's an honor and a privilege to have your son here for me to coach your son. I am just so thankful for the opportunity.
But you're not answering my question. Who's then this ultimate culture macho guy that's going to go into Bree?
Should have been John Harbaugh. They should have told John, whatever you want to do, it's yours. Organization's yours. The GM is yours. Anyone on the coaching staff is yours. Anyone in and out of the building is yours. We don't have to sit here for 3 days negotiating the fine print in your contract like you had to do with the New York Football Giants to minimize the general manager. It is yours. Come in here and fix it all.
Yeah, but that didn't. He was always going to go to New York.
Yeah, I know. But that's what this organization needs.
I don't necessarily agree with that.
No, because you can push Grant Udinski around. You can push Nate Shieldhouse around. You're going to be able to push Jim Schwartz around. You're going to be able to push whatever other candidate they dig up around. That's my point. You need somebody with the resume that can tell people, get out of my office.
Okay,
or you can fire me.
At some point, we have to get real about this, though, and that of the candidates that are known, that guy does not exist. So we have to get real about the fact of why they're talking to Udinski.
And guess
why
what?
they're talking to Shieldhouse. Because they believe that they've got some young talent on this roster, and I believe that, too. I liked what I saw out of Quinshon Judkins when he was healthy. I liked what I saw out of Harold Fannin Jr. in his first year out of the Mid-American Conference. I thought that he showed some things. And I think if you could get a young offensive mind to pair with this young offensive talent, and your general manager just said after he fired the head coach that they were going to spend their resources on the offensive side of the football this year. Well, if I could have a head coach that could be around this thing for the next 10 years and coach up all this premium young offensive talent, that's what I'm after. If I could hire Grant Udinski at 30 and he could coach me until he's 40, that's a win.
I'm sorry. Please tell me all about the Browns' young premium offensive talent that they have.
I just gave you Judkins, Fannin. They got 2 first-round picks that they're going to use on an offensive tackle and a wide receiver.
Guys. So they have 2 guys, and that's it. But that is a bevy of young offensive talent at the premium level.
Plus 2 first-round picks this year that are going to be offensive players in all likelihood.
Did we not just have the conversation about why Mike McDaniel didn't come here for an interview? It's because they don't have enough young, premium offensive talent.
Well, yeah, no kidding. There's no Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. I don't think that necessarily exists in Buffalo either, where the owner's throwing shots at Keon Coleman, who they spent a first-round draft pick on.
Well, they have Josh Allen, and we don't. Like that's the difference.
And I'm sick of that too. Josh Allen, what's he? Okay, he's lost
an NFL MVP.
And he's lost in the playoffs a ton. He's lost in the playoffs a ton.
You know what? I would give
So would I.
I would give
so would I.
both
But guess
legs,
what? That's
both
not a
arms
reality.
for Josh Allen
That's
here.
not a reality, though.
Sign me up. Sign me up for Josh Allen and the results
That's not
he's
a reality,
brought the Bills.
though. So if you go with somebody like Udinsky or Scheelhaus, you're at least telling them, hey, you're going to have this year, and they're in this year, you know what? I'm sorry, it's the truth. There's no great path for finding a quarterback. So you've been wandering this quarterback desert since 1999, and it is starting to get dry, and I'm getting real thirsty, but you're going to have to wander it for one more year, because there's not anybody that's going to be there with the number 6 overall pick. I'm not going to be sold on Ty Simpson out of Alabama.
Wait a minute. I thought you were all about Shedeur Sanders. I thought that isn't that their...
And that's part of this. That's part of this. You've got 2 young quarterbacks that are here in Shedeur who showed promise and Dylan Gabriel who showed pretty much nothing, that you can actually figure out if you have something this year with the revamped offensive line, with a premium wide receiver. And then if that doesn't work, then guess what? You're right back into the well in 2027. And this young offensive-minded head coach will get to call his shot on a QB. Isn't that what we were begging for out of Kevin Stefanski? And he would be the first to tell everybody that he never got a chance to pick his quarterback. Well, here you go. In year 2 with the new head coach, if things don't go well with Shedeur, you could have your new coach pick a new quarterback.
Here's the other problem that I'm having and why I just can't get excited about any of these guys. Because the people doing the hiring are the same people that brought you Rob Chudzinski, Mike Pettin, Hugh Jackson, Freddie Kitchens, and Kevin Stefanski. And Kevin's the most successful of them all.
So we get to just be miserable about it forever.
Well, no, I'm keeping it real. I have very little trust and faith.
Great.
And I'd like someone to come in here that I can have trust and faith in, and that this whole thing can be turned over to, and I know that they're going to turn it around. Because I don't know that any of these guys are going to do it. 216-474-0092, 1 hour down, 3 more to go. We're going to be fighting about who the next head coach of the Cleveland Browns is going to be. Who do you like? Who should it be? Nick Padone would like it to be Deion Sanders. It's the Ken Carman Show with Anthony Lima, without Ken or Anthony, till 10 on The Fan.
This
way this reads right now is it's going to be Shedeur in some sort of competition with somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't seem like we're going to have a quarterback that just comes from the clouds and is automatically, that's the assumed starter. So we're going to have all the training camp stuff we had last year with people charting plays and doing everything like that. That's coming right back around this time.
The Afternoon Drive. Weekdays starting at 2. We are Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
Mike McDaniel still interested in a head coaching job. Wonder why. Wasn't interested in one here in Cleveland. We found that out on Tuesday. But he is going to interview with the Buffalo Bills, according to Albert Breer. Wonder why that is. Didn't want to come to Cleveland, talk to the Browns, but wants to talk to the Bills.
Dude, you gotta stop.
I wonder why.
You've gotta stop.
Why is that? What do they have that we don't? I mean, they have more snow. The climate is we have a better climate here in Cleveland. Buffalo's a beautiful city, but we have better weather here.
Yeah, that's right.
Not right now, but
take that Buffalo. Our weather's better than yours.
I mean, your football team's better. You have a better quarterback. Your stadium's about to be a lot better than ours.
But for a couple of years.
For a couple of years. That's assuming that
we have less out foreign objects thrown on our field than they do.
Well, not in the old days, though.
Well, I'm saying things that, I
know.
don't have to explain to my children what D-cell batteries are. I do have to explain what other things are.
D-cell batteries, dog biscuits,
beer bottles.
Yeah, the dog pound used to be a time. It used to be very unruly back in the day, and we can't have that type of behavior these days for the safety of everyone. But back in the day, I'm old enough to remember when they had to switch fields at Old Municipal Stadium. They had to switch the ends of the fields because John Elway was just getting absolute blasted by batteries and dog biscuits. What was that, 1988, I think that game was, after the drive? And they were just hammering him with dog biscuits and batteries, so they had to flip ends of the field for player safety. But the Bills have Josh Allen, the Browns don't, and now all of a sudden Mike McDaniel, who did not interview with the Browns because he was going to become Justin Herbert's offensive coordinator in Los Angeles with the Chargers, now all of a sudden is interested in another head coaching job, but it's not in Cleveland, it's in Buffalo.
Okay, and now all of a sudden, though, he's good turning down Baltimore, who has the MVP in Lamar Jackson. He's good turning down Vegas, who's going to have the number 1 overall pick in Fernando Mendoza that just ran the table and won the national championship and the Heisman Trophy. I can't find myself getting all worked up and all depressed that Mike McDaniel doesn't want to come coach the Browns. Okay, that's his prerogative. He didn't want to coach the Browns in 2014 when he was here. He helped Kyle put together the PowerPoint presentation to get them out of town and to get them to Atlanta. That's fine. You don't want to coach here? Guess what? I'll find somebody that wants to coach here. There's only 32 of these jobs, Daryl. Somebody's going to coach this thing.
Well, I will say this. I think that the Browns job is better than the Arizona Cardinals job.
I think it's better than Pittsburgh.
I think it is. I would agree with you. Here's why it's not better than Pittsburgh.
Because they've only had 4 coaches since the 60s. Here we go.
Well, guess what? That matters. Stability matters.
They gave Kevin Stefanski 6 years. They saw through the process. To the Haslam's credit, they saw through the process of Baker Mayfield to its completion. They saw the process of Deshaun Watson just about as far as they could have possibly seen it. And they saw 2 full projects take place in the Kevin Stefanski era, and they had 1 playoff victory to show for it when Kevin Stefanski was locked in his basement with COVID. So they gave him plenty of runway to coach this football team. I think the next guy coming in knows that the guy before me had 6 years to figure this thing out, and he had 2 full tenure of quarterbacks that he couldn't figure it out with.
I also don't think that they want that big personality. They want to have input on everything, and that's their prerogative. It's their investment. But I'm here to tell you, we've been through it, okay? And when you look at who they've brought in, Rob Chudzinski, Mike Patton, Hugh Jackson, what a disaster that was. Freddie Kitchens, another disaster. Like, it's hard for me to have faith and belief in what they're doing.
So the front office in 2019 and 2020 wanted to hire Kevin Stefanski. They got that wish. Prior to that, when they hired Hugh Jackson, the front office, which Andrew Berry was a part of, by the way, in 2016 with Paul DePodesta, they wanted Sean McDermott. They got hit with the trump card, and that ultimately ended up being Hugh Jackson, because that's what ownership wanted.
But here's the other part of this, too, right?
So really, the process has been, okay, Sean McDermott's a pretty good coach. Kevin Stefanski got 2 Coach of the Years on his shelf, regardless of what you think about him.
I would have no problem if the Browns talked to McDermott. I don't know that.
But I'm saying, who's to say that Shieldhouse or Udinski can't follow in that lineage of McDermott, Stefanski? That's what's next. Because both of those, McDermott and Stefanski, I think you would have to say are quote-unquote successful NFL head coaches. Even though they were just both fired, McDermott has one of the best winning percentages. I think he's got a top 15 winning percentage in the history of the game. And Kevin Stefanski has 2 Coach of the Year awards on his mantle. And he would have been the first guy hired this cycle if it wasn't for Harbaugh getting let go.
And he was able to do that despite all the minefields he had to navigate here. Here's the other part of this, too. Why is Mike McDaniel willing to help out the Buffalo Bills but not help out the Browns? Because
his boy Shanahan has a vendetta on Cleveland.
I'm just saying because, I think Brian Daboll will probably get that job in Buffalo. At least it makes sense. But, McDaniel's going to be one of their Rooney Rule interviews. Like, you mean Mike couldn't do Andrew Berry a favor?
Because I think everybody knows, and I think that's why Jesse Minter canceled yesterday. I think everybody knows what this is. They're hunting experienced coordinators like a Jim Schwartz, like a Todd Monken, but their search is going to come down. Again, like you hear from NFL insider Jordan Schultz that the search is coming down to Shieldhouse or Udinski. Like
I said
just about
2 weeks
that
ago
from the
that those were the names to watch. And here we are 2 weeks later. Those are still the names to watch.
Okay, and you're still sitting here belly aching about it, though.
Yeah, because neither one excite me. Browns fan has been through this time and time again, and you're now asking them for the umpteenth time to sit here and just accept the next guy. Oh, this is the next, because you know what? I'm gonna go back, okay? I'm going to go back. Pat Shurmur was supposed to be the up-and-comer. Okay? Mike Holmgren sold that. Rob Chudzinski was supposed to be the up-and-comer. The Haslam sold that. Joe Banner sold that. Then Mike Pettin was supposed to be the up-and-comer. Right? Got to bloody our nose in the AFC North. Okay?
Shurmur was 45.
I'm not done yet. Hugh Jackson, they basically walked that guy in like he was a pharaoh on a float. They literally almost carried him into the building to a hero's welcome.
That was the hottest coach on the cycle that year.
Freddie Kitchens was the up-and-comer. Okay?
And we know why they did that.
Him and Baker were buddies. He was the next up-and-comer. So I'm tired of up-and-comer. Okay? I'm tired of up-and-comer. I've had it.
So what do you want to do? You want to call UNC right now?
You know what?
Get Lombardi on the phone and get Belichick in here? Is that what you want? That's a proven guy.
No.
You want to pull Saban off the desk at ESPN and have him come in here? That's a proven guy.
Not in the NFL, he's not.
You want to start digging up dinosaur bones? That's what it sounds like you want to do. You want to start digging up the grave of all of these old coaches that have been there and done that? Because guess what else is true?
See, you're young. See, you get excited about the unknown and the up-and-comer. I don't.
Because no retread Super Bowl winning head coach has ever won one in his next spot. None of them. So I hope Pittsburgh hires Mike McCarthy. I'll sit back and I'll laugh because it'll be nothing but more first-round playoff burnouts. There has never been a Super Bowl winning head coach that's won one with a different organization. So that's why I'm not sitting here crying a week removed from John Harbaugh telling the Browns no, because I know that it's less than likely that he's going to win a Super Bowl in New York.
I'm just telling you, if you're trusting these people to find the next great up-and-comer that Andrew Berry clearly is looking for. Okay, remember, nobody else interviewed Kevin Stefanski but the Cleveland Browns. They did get 6 years out of him. They got 2 playoff appearances out of him. Okay, and we don't want to discount that. And part of the reason the last 2 years were just as painful as they were is because of Andrew Berry, who is the guy that's hiring the next one. Okay? We don't know what this roster is going to look like on the offensive side of the ball yet because, well, that's a gut job. And part of the reason it's a gut job is because the guy that's hiring the head coach now has to gut it because he messed it up. See, this team was supposed, the whole point of going through 1-31 and 4-44 was so that we wouldn't be sitting here in 2026 going through what we're going through right now. The whole point of going through that was to be what the Buffalo Bills are.
I agree.
Because I'm going to tell you right now, you want to slough off Josh Allen and he hasn't accomplished anything in the playoffs. You know what? I would love to be sitting arguing with you right now about what it's going to take for the Cleveland Browns to get past the divisional round of the playoffs and into the conference championship and competing for a Super Bowl than sitting here debating, is it going to be Grant Udinski? Is it going to be Nate Scheelhaus? Are we getting Jim Schwartzy? Are we going to get unknown Rooney Rule candidate here out of the middle of nowhere? You want Deion Sanders to be the coach? I would rather be arguing about what it's going to take to get to the Super Bowl than arguing about, well, you know what? We shouldn't have won those last 2 games. We could have had the number 1 pick. 216-474-0092. It's the Ken Carman Show with Anthony Lima. Minus Ken, minus Anthony. It's Daryl Ryder, Nick Padone with you till 10 on the Fan.
Thinking about engaging.
time, 7 to 6. You can now find 92.3 The Fan on YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube channel with the best content from our shows each and every weekday. That's 92.3 The Fan on YouTube. Headline sports news every 20 minutes right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas.
Check out the Fan Off-Season Special every Tuesday night from 7 to 9 with Jay Volnick, Lance Reisland, and myself as we recap all the latest Browns news and the moves ahead this offseason in free agency and the draft. And they're still looking for a head coach. You can listen right here on 92.3 The Fan. Stream us on the Odyssey app and watch every episode live on YouTube. That's the Fan Off-Season Special each and every Tuesday night from 7 to 9 right here on 92.3 The Fan. It's the Ken Carman Show with Anthony Lima. Ken and Lima have the day off. It's Daryl Ryder, Nick Padone with you till 10. As we're fighting over training wheels because that's what the new Browns head coach probably is going to have as he rolls through. You know what? They should put him on a tricycle. You know, Hugh Jackson got the hero's welcome. They lined the staircase and the doors were, both doors were open as he walked into the hero's welcome. You know what? I think if they hire Grant Udinski or Nate Scheelhaus, they should have him roll in on a tricycle because that's what this is going to be. Neither one are ready to be a head coach, but we're going to teach them how to do the job. And if there's ever a franchise in the National Football League to teach a guy how to be a head coach and to be successful and to lose in epic fashion, it's the Cleveland Browns. So I can't wait. That's why I'm so enthusiastic about this coaching search. I can't get enough of it because what they're giving me gives me no hope. I have no hope that they're going to get it right. These are the same people that hired Rob Chudzinski. These are the same people that hired Mike Pettin. These are the same people that hired Hugh Jackson and Freddie Kitchens. That's who's doing the hiring. And I'm just supposed to blindly believe, which, by the way, there's going to be some growing pains here. Like, they're not making the playoffs this year. Breaking news for you. Not happening. That's why I bet Nick Wilson a burger. Browns not making the playoffs this year. Nick loves the young offense, which I think is comprised of a total of 3 players right now.
Plus 2 first-round picks coming up. You continually to conveniently leave out that they have 2 first-round picks.
But I don't know who those first-round picks are. I don't know that Andrew Berry's getting those first-round picks correct. He had one good draft. The next wide receiver that he drafts that turns out to be a consistent contributor will be the first. The next offensive lineman that he drafts that turns out to be a consistent, positive contributor and actually likes the sport of football will be the first.
So what are we going to do? We're just going to sit here and then whoever they hire, we're just going to say is the wrong thing. There's no reason to be excited. When the Rams hired McVay, nobody was excited. It was doomsday. They should have hired a dinosaur, prehistoric head coach that was 100 years old. Same thing in Green Bay when they hired LaFleur. They should have just brought Belichick to wear a cheese head on the sideline because he's old and he'll help us win Lombardis. And that's what we do in Green Bay, Wisconsin. No, because at some point you have to get younger and you have to innovate. Adapt or die is the way that the world works, the way that the sporting world certainly works. Hey, and the Browns do need to adapt. They tried the same thing for 6 years.
They adapted in 2016 when they hired Paul DePodesta. Okay? They adapted then. Please tell me the adaptation that they did, okay? In 2016, which is when they went heavy into analytics, which, by the way, I felt was a good idea and a good thing. Not so much hiring Paul DePodesta, but really beefing up that portion of the organization. Right. First thing John Harbaugh said.
Strategy.
Right. The first thing that John Harbaugh said to the NFL insiders after getting the Giants job about changes was, we need to beef up the analytics department here in New York, right? I'm not, but the problem is, it's the right thing to do, but here in Cleveland, it hasn't borne fruit. That's my frustration, okay? One of these guys might be the next Sean McVay. One of these guys might be the next Bill Belichick. I'm not disputing that. But the unknown when it comes to the Browns and how they do things, it understandably freaks me out because their resume with trying to find that unknown, okay, is the worst of the worst.
But the thing is, until you find that next Sean McVay, you have to keep taking your swings. Because guess what? One of those proven guys is not going to come here in its current state. Aren't we living through that in real time?
Mike McDaniel won't even do him a solid of coming here for an interview to help him out with the Rooney Rule, but he's going to do that for Buffalo, and I don't think he's getting that job.
Buffalo needs 2. He's going to be one of 2 there. So until you start to get serious, then you're never going to have somebody like a Harbaugh, somebody even like a McDaniel who only coached 4 years in the league with Miami. You're never going to get one of those guys. So I feel like you might as well try to continue to go to the Shanahan tree, continue to go to the McVay tree, and try to find your own iteration of these guys and bring them up like the rest of these organizations do. You see teams like Jacksonville, the blind squirrel finds nut in Liam Cohen. My blind squirrel needs to find his nut this year with this Browns coaching search. And I do like the 2 candidates that they're on to.
Well, the good news is the 2 candidates come from Cohen and McVay. Right.
I
mean, that's I guess that's the only thing we have going for us is that
I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that's the only thing.
The 2 chief candidates are coming from, a guy who had a very successful debut season as a rookie NFL head coach, and then Sean McVay. And listen, to the Rams' credit, after they won that Super Bowl, they fell off. I think people forget. They fell off. I think they had a 3-win season in there, okay? They fell on some hard times, but now they have bounced back. They stuck with it. They saw it through. The Browns, who made the playoffs twice with Kevin Stefanski, decided it wasn't worth seeing it through with Kevin. You could, and listen, I was saying, I don't know how you sell that to fans. I don't know how you run this back with what we've watched the last 2 years, and you sell it to fans, especially when you're trying to sell PSLs in your new dome that you're trying to start building here this year. But, my worry is that they miscalculated and that whomever they do bring in, they ruin. Because the young up-and-comer, Pat Shurmur got a second chance with the Giants, okay? That was an abject failure. We found out he's a coordinator at best, okay? That's his ceiling. Rob Chudzinski hasn't sniffed another head coaching job, right? Mike Pettin hasn't sniffed another head coaching job. In fact, I believe he just retired.
He did just retire, yeah.
He just retired. He had enough of pro football. He just retired, right? Hugh Jackson, to your point, to be fair to you, Hugh Jackson was head coach with the Raiders for a little bit. Second time here in Cleveland, did not work out, okay? Was a complete disaster. Again, though, they didn't do much to help him, but also at the same time, Hugh didn't want to play ball with anybody, and he was trying to undermine everything. Then you had Freddie Kitchens, right? Greg Williams would have been the popular hire because he's the one that kind of helped really get that season turned around, but they went with Freddie Kitchens because of the Baker thing, and that was just a complete disaster. And again, Freddie has not, and rightfully so, sniffed another head coaching job. Kevin Stefanski, though, everybody wanted to talk to him, except for Arizona. He interviewed with 7 different teams. He would have interviewed a second time with 4, but the Falcons,
didn't let that happen.
They didn't let that happen.
So
Arthur
that brings
Blank
us to today,
hit the
though.
grill and kept them.
I want to talk about today with Udinski, and I get that you don't want to be excited because some of the young up-and-coming guys that they've tried and failed at, have not hit, but, with Udinski, there is reason to be excited. We're every day for the last how many days? Every day really since 1999.
Is he bringing Trevor Lawrence with him?
Are you going to let me talk?
I was asking a question if he's bringing Trevor Lawrence with him.
So what he's done is in Minnesota, he revived the career of Sam Darnold. And haven't we just spent the whole week talking about Malik Willis and Mac Jones and some of the realistic retread quarterbacks? Okay, well, this head coach that you're interested in meeting with today, he's proven that he could revive a career. He did so with Darnold, who's going to compete to play in a Super Bowl this weekend. Then you look at what he did in Trevor Lawrence this year, first year with Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence was kind of on thin ice in Jacksonville in a way. He got a new contract extension, but there were some real questions about if he was the true quarterback of the future for them.
Right.
It was his 5th year in the league. He threw a career-high touchdown number this year in Jacksonville. So I think there's reason to be excited about Grant Udinski, and you're just pretending, you're just acting like because he's 30 years old and because he's never done this before, that it's like a hire that has absolutely no weight at all.
Well, here's another wrinkle for you. Neither one of these guys has called plays.
I don't really care about that.
I think that matters, though. The management of a game live.
Well, couldn't you bring in somebody to call plays? Maybe that's why they're meeting with Todd Monken. Udinski's going to be the CEO of the organization, and Monken will call the plays. When Monken was the offensive coordinator in 2019, as much as we want to laugh about the 2019 Browns, that offense is all right. I'd take that offense over I just saw last year.
They scored over 20. They were one of 8 offenses since this team has come back in 27 seasons, okay? So in 21 of 20, or I should say in 19 of 27 seasons, the Browns failed to score more than 20 points in a game in a league where 20 points is an average grade. That is a C. On a report card, 20 points is a C. That is an average, all right? 4 of the 8 seasons that saw you score 20 points or more were under Kevin Stefanski, okay? So let's have a little perspective here. I know the last 2 years were awful where they averaged 15 and 16 and 14 or whatever it was points per game these last 2 years. When, you had a little something at quarterback and you had a little something at receiver and you had a little something at running back and tight end. Under Kevin, the Browns could score 20 points in a game. Again, 20 points is average.
So the Bills are getting their Rooney Rule situation set. We got a little breaking news from NFL Network's Ian Rappaport. Bills plan to spend their Saturday in Los Angeles doing an in-person interview with Anthony Lynn, who was their interim head coach in 2016, the former LA Chargers head coach, currently the Commanders' run game coordinator. So they're also setting themselves up to make a hire next week, and the Browns have one known.
They're hiring Brian Daboll. I'm convinced.
Because this comes down the day after they had an in-person formal meeting with Daboll.
Yeah, I would be shocked at this point if they didn't. Just as much as I probably would have been shocked if the Ravens didn't hire, Minter yesterday, right? Or the Falcons, hiring Stefanski. That was not a surprise.
So I think if you want to poke holes in the Browns' process here, you can, because they can't even hire any coach right now.
No, they still have not fulfilled the Rooney Rule. And again, in defense of them, Andrew Berry does not want to do just performative interviews. He wants them to be legitimate. And I presented a candidate this morning that I think would work. I think he could work as a head coach, and it would satisfy the Rooney Rule, and that's David Shaw.
You want another serious candidate that would?
And don't say Deion Sanders again, please.
JT Barrett has been a fast riser because he spent a lot of time in the quarterback room with Jared Goff and the Detroit Lions and got his career on the straight and narrow, if we're talking about retread options. And then this year with Caleb Williams and the Bears and what they were able to do, he was Caleb's quarterback coach. And so I think he could get some serious, I don't know about head coach looks,
right.
But I think he could get some serious OC looks.
Here's the other thing, too, that when you're thinking about these young up-and-coming head coaches is the depth of their Rolodexes, okay?
Udinski's is probably a little bit deeper than some white thing. He's been with multiple organizations despite only being 30 years old.
Here's why keeping Jim Schwartz is important. You don't have to restaff one side of the ball, Okay? Or you don't have to completely
because most of those
restaff.
dudes will stay for Jim.
Right. And that is another thing to kind of keep in mind, is because when you do these in-person interviews, and I've talked about this a lot, you have to have a Rolodex with you. You have to, hey, this is who my offensive coordinator be. This is who the quarterback's coach should be. This is who I think should be the offensive line coach, right? Because you're seeing these coaches, when they get hired, they waste no time filling their coordinator slots.
Right.
Because that was already part of the interview process, right? And they, again, because the Rooney Rule does apply to coordinators as well, then they also go through that of getting those interviews out of the way, so then they can hire the folks that they originally wanted to hire to begin with. The Rooney Rule, the spirit of it is great, but the way the NFL continues to execute it is not. And I will give the Browns credit. They're trying to do it the right way. Unfortunately, the right way is slowing up their ability to hire who they really want to hire, who I think it's going to be Grant Udinski. I think it's going to be Nate Shieldhouse. And I also have a theory of what their coordinator situation might look like as well. We'll get into that next. It's Daryl Ryder and Nick Padone. We're in for Ken and Anthony, the Ken Carman Show with Anthony Lima, right here on The Fan.
When a boner.
much can happen around the globe that we never hear of.
Embarrassing. We got to be better on defense.
It won't matter till April. I think we know that. Y'all gonna write us off. We could go 82-0, no one would care.
He's a piece of crap. The kid, he sucks. He's sucked his whole career.
I got rumors about him, how he couldn't please his wife, and so now he's divorced.
Put a damn winning team on the field.
Now, the Ken Carman Show with Anthony Lima give their thoughts on what you might have missed about last night.
So just in case we weren't arguing enough about the Browns head coaching search this morning, I wanted to kick it off talking about Jesse Minter and going to Baltimore and how it seemed like it was never really in the cards for him to be in Cleveland. And this is Adam Schefter talking about Minter and what he wants to do with his career.
He visited the Ravens on Wednesday, met with the team, and decided that he wanted to be there despite interest from elsewhere. Canceled his trip to Cleveland. And now Jesse Minter has reached a 5-year agreement.
That is courtesy of ESPN. And I'm not panicking about Jesse Minter not wanting to come to the Browns. I think the bigger picture is that this isn't the first time a head coach has pulled their name out of the pool for the Browns. To me, that feels a little more concerning, that it's happening multiple times in their very laundry list of people that they want to bring into the facilities to see if they're a fit.
I am upset that Mike McDaniel is willing to do a Rooney Rule interview for the Buffalo Bills, but not the Cleveland Browns. Couldn't do us a solid. Going to do one for the Bills. Because I don't think he's getting that job. I think he's flying back to L.A. or going to stay in L.A. and be Jim Harbaugh's offensive coordinator.
Can I say I had a feeling that was going to happen with McDaniel, that he was going to pull out of the Browns race on
somebody
Tuesday?
Was going to do it. Somebody was going to do it. So if you were setting betting lines, he was probably going to be the favorite. That was
Here's a piece of paper. Write down the lotto numbers for me.
Sure. Well, I mean, it's so funny because I had said this to Dan Manigan earlier on Tuesday. I was like, watch Mike McDaniel pull out of the race today. And he was like, that would be insane. Hours later, I'm getting a text from Dan and he was like, oh my God. I'm like, I told you.
You want those lotto numbers too?
I can predict everything except for the lottery numbers, apparently.
That is a bigger domino, though, than Jesse Minter, just because you look at what's happening now, and you mentioned Buffalo meeting with Mike McDaniel. Like, there's a real world where the Buffalo Bills are compliant with the Rooney Rule by the end of this weekend before the Browns are, and the Buffalo Bills are interviewing Grant Udinski on Sunday. So if they want to give him the job, that's going to be within their right to do so, whereas the Browns are sitting here trying to wait to fulfill this rule the right way.
Are you trying to say that the Browns' plan to do something the right way might blow up in their face? I'm shocked.
I think the McDaniel probably really messed up what their game plan was, and we've yet to see how they want to rebound from that, right? Like, they quite literally have no public plan.
I will say this. If Andrew Berry only had 2 Rooney Rule candidates, that would be a terrible job of planning out of him. And I'm so glad he's still running the show from football operations.
Well, just out of curiosity, because this is where my mind went immediately in thinking about Grant Udinski as a potential head coach for the Bills, was how old is Josh Allen? So he's turning 29 this year. So I'm like, it might be a little bit weird if your head coach is younger. Although that happened with the Browns and Flacco, right? Wasn't Flacco older than Stefanski?
Flacco was older than everybody in the building.
All right, so let's move on. We do have some actual NFL games this weekend.
Oh, really? What's that like, Cleveland?
Yeah, there's actual playoff games.
Football?
After Denver surmounted this incredible comeback win over the Bills last week, they lost Bo Nix in the process, and Jared Stidham was talking about the approach that he's taking this weekend.
What I always go back to in any game, regular season, preseason, AFC Championship, it's still the same game. So obviously there's implications and, winner advances, all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, it's still football. That's how I view it. So I'm not treating it any differently. Just going to go out there and play and be myself.
How much confidence do you have in him this weekend?
I wish him well. I hate this game. Because I hate both teams. I hate the Patriots. I hate the Broncos. I'm rooting for a tie. But he's in a tough spot, and I think that Sean Payton's going to give the old, listen, okay, if we lose this game, it's not going to be his fault.
Right.
It's going to be your fault. And I think that's, going to be the message. He's in a tough spot. He really is. I mean, Bo Nix, second to last play of the game, breaks his ankle. And now, hey, congratulations. You get to start the AFC Championship game. I did enjoy on X, though, the reminder that the Patriots struggle against backup quarterbacks in championship games.
Well, Nick Foles himself joined the conversation and, gave a vote of support for Jarrett Stidham. And I feel more confident because what does Sean Payton call? Sean Payton calls him Stiddy, which is, I feel
that's a very hockey thing.
Stiddy could win an AFC champion. Jarrett Stidham, I don't know that he can, but Stiddy could win an AFC champion.
And then I can't wait for a full offseason with you on Sunday mornings of us debating, should the Browns trade for Stidham? 216-474-92.
Oh, I'm going to be locked into those shows for sure. One more football story. Bills fans are fighting back against ownership. In Buffalo, they have created a change.org petition, which I was not aware that change.org still existed. But they created a change.org petition for the Bills to reinstate Sean McDermott. The petition says, the recent decision to fire Sean McDermott has left me and countless others heartbroken and baffled. Sean McDermott has not only been a strategic mastermind behind our team's recent success, he's also been an aspiring leader with a deep commitment to the Buffalo community. I don't know when this petition was created, but as of Wednesday, it had about 12,000 signatures.
12,000.
That's a lot.
I mean, think if we put together a change.org petition for anything, you wouldn't be able to get 12,000 people in this town to agree on anything. The sky's blue.
We'll be lucky if we get 200.
So here's my question for you. Which former Cleveland Browns head coach would be worthy of said petition? Go. I rest my case.
Crickets.
Do you think that how would a petition go? I feel like you could find some of the remaining Baker Bros, and I'm kind of having a flashback to your argument with Nick Wilson on Afternoon Drive earlier this week. I bet you could put together a change.org petition to bring Baker Mayfield back as the starting quarterback of the Browns.
That would get tens of thousands of signatures.
That would have more
for sure.
traction than any coaching petition would in this town.
That wasn't my question. My question was, which former Cleveland Browns head coach would get a change.org petition? We got nothing from the audience. And once again, my point about the Browns' inability to find young up-and-coming coaches proven once again.
All right, so let's move on to a basketball story. Yesterday, during About Last Night, you guys weren't here, but we did talk about the lengthy ESPN article on the Buss family drama and how LeBron kind of got dragged into it.
Oh, it was delicious. And I really hope that we get a third season of Winning Time based solely on that article.
So after the Lakers game last night, LeBron was asked about it. This was his response about the article and his feelings on it.
I don't really care about the reports, to be honest. You guys know me. You guys know since I've been here, my 8th year here, been in this league 23 years. There's going to be another article tomorrow, especially involving me. And at the end of the day, when I came to this organization, my whole mindset was about restoring excellence. The things that I've seen growing up, and then in the early 2000s with Shaq and Kobe, and then what Kobe did. And my whole mindset was how can I get that feeling back to the Lakers organization, and where when the Lakers and the Knicks and the Bulls and the Celtics are good is great, and then I was able to do that along with our 14, 16 other guys winning a championship, bringing a championship here. That's always been my mindset. So, quite frankly, I don't really care about articles. I really don't. I don't care about stories. I don't care about podcasts and all that type of shit. It don't bother me. I'm 41 years old and I watch golf every day. I don't care about an article. I don't care how somebody feel about me.
So for reference, before I let you get your take out, that clip was 1 minute and 5 seconds. I cut that down from almost 2 minutes.
Okay, for a guy that doesn't care, that was a lot of words to say about something you don't care about.
And that wasn't even the whole comment. That was about half of his comments because I cut it down to 1 minute.
Yeah, we do. You're right, Bron. We do know you, and yes, you do care.
I want to play one more clip really, really quickly before we get out. I swear. I promise when it's fast. This is LeBron when he was asked if he's going to finish his season in L.A.
Is this where you want to finish the season?
I'm good. I'm good.
That sounded like a cry for help.
Like he's being held hostage.
I'm good, huh?
That's it for About Last Night.
All right, there you go. The great Meredith Kane, ladies and gentlemen. Great job as always. All right. Coming up, the latest on the Browns coaching search. Grant Udinski is going to talk with them today. But there have been some developments in Buffalo that impact the search. We'll tell you all about that. Coming up next is Daryl Ryder, Nick Padone in for the boys on the Ken Carman Show with Anthony Lima right here on The Fan.
This is
like going to be a really good head coach someday, but he's very green. Like, he still has a ways to go in a number of different areas. Shieldhaas, same thing. Monken is a little bit of the older name. So you've got a variety of candidates. And then you have Schwartz. And so, like, do you envision Jim Schwartz being your head coach? I think Schwartz is a very real consideration there.
Listen for the MMQB's Albert Breer, Tuesdays at 5:20 on Cleveland's Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
Well, that's a ringing endorsement if I've ever heard them. For the young whippersnappers, Nate Shieldhouse and Grant Udinski. Yeah, they're going to be really good head coaches someday, but they're really, really green. It's Daryl Ryder and Nick Padone. We're in for the boys who have the day off. The Ken Carman Show with Anthony Lima. Of course, I usually pop on this hour every Friday, brought to you by Scheibin Jewelers, Cleveland's premier jewelry store. You got 4 hours of me this morning. Lucky you. Nick, too. You're even luckier because Nick is here. We are fighting over the fact that I am less than enthused about the Browns going with young, unproven dude again, because they just have such a great track record. And if there's ever a franchise where I want a young up-and-comer to learn how to be an NFL head coach, it's Cleveland, Ohio, because the Browns just do it so well. The on-the-job training these guys are going to get from Andrew Berry, I can't wait. Sarcastic enough for you?
I mean, like, I just don't get why we have to just disparage it before it even starts. Like, I at least want to see how it starts.
Because I've seen this movie 8 times before.
I just think that this one could be different.
Okay,
I chose one of my New Year's resolutions was more positivity, so I'm choosing to be positive about
All right.
this.
Mine was not more positivity. Mine was to call it the way I see it. This is like dating. Maybe this one will be better. The last one was a train wreck. Let's do this again. Ain't it fun?
So I think this is where you and I are on different pages because I'm pessimistic about the process. I think they like both Udinski and Shieldhouse, which are both young, offensive-minded head coaches, which is the direction that I wanted to see the Browns go. I'm optimistic about the candidates that they're meeting with. I'm pessimistic about the process because the process to me has made no sense. That if you want to hire Grant Udinski, if that's your guy, you should be able to hire him today. If Nate Shieldhouse is your guy and you want to hire him, depends on what happens with the Rams in the Super Bowl, right? But you want to at least give him that handshake agreement. Hey, go win the Super Bowl and this is going to be yours. But they cannot do that in the current climate. And you're starting to see teams like Buffalo. They're going to be able to do that next week. They're going to be able to hire their next head coach. So I do think Browns fans have the right to be a little bit worried about the process. But at the same time, I'm not going to disparage any of the candidates before they actually arrive in Cleveland.
Yeah, I mean, the Bills are going to get their Rooney Rule requirements out of the way. Mike McDaniel, who did not want to do the Browns a solid, an interview here on Tuesday because he was no longer interested in head coaching jobs and signed on to be Jim Harbaugh's offensive coordinator. Well, magically, all of a sudden, he's interested in head coaching interviews. He's now going to interview with the Buffalo Bills today and help them out. I don't think that there's any chance he's getting that job, but he's going to do them a solid and help them
Why do you
in
keep
their
saying
process.
he's going to help them out, though? I mean, they have Josh Allen. We have nothing here at quarterback.
The details. Nick told me earlier I shouldn't be focused on those things.
Well, that's his resolution is don't focus on the details this New Year's. But the facts are the facts. Josh Allen's an MVP.
Okay. And did you not hear? We have a bevy, an overflowing cup of young offensive talent here named Quinshon Judkins, Dylan Sampson, and Harold Fannin Jr., and not one.
None of those guys play quarterback.
First-round
None of those
picks.
guys play quarterback.
Well, okay,
those guys have our team has an albatross in the quarterback room. None of the other ones do.
We're 42 deep.
Hey,
42 deep.
When everybody
42 deep, right? That's what we do on this show. We chant.
I'm not doing it. When everybody
we are a chanting show.
When everybody was, trying to inflate air into the tires of Dylan Gabriel, that when the Browns double backed and draft Shador, wasn't it Mike McDaniel and the Miami Dolphins that wanted to coach Dylan Gabriel? So what happened? Dylan Gabriel isn't God's gift to football like we thought?
Hey, listen,
you think it was Mike McDaniel and the Miami Dolphins, or do you think it was Miami going, hey, we've got one short left-handed quarterback. Let's get another one.
Hey, listen, I'm willing to send Dylan Gabriel anywhere anyone wants him.
The issue is Atlanta only has like 4 draft picks. I thought wherever Stefanski went, Shedeur, or Gabriel could follow Stefanski to his new home. The issue is Atlanta can't afford to do that. They don't have a first-round pick. They only have 4 picks total.
Oh, I just had a theory pop into my head. What if that's why they let Tommy Reese out of his contract to go be Stefanski's offensive coordinator?
Gonna take phone a favor?
Yeah.
Give me another 5th-round pick. Oh, a late-round pick swap would do this town wonders.
Oh, you know what? I loathe 7th-round picks. I would take a 7th-round pick for Dillon Gabriel. I would take an air compressor for Dillon Gabriel. I would take a tackling dummy.
One of those sideline heaters for Dillon Gabriel. They don't really need those in Atlanta. It's a dome.
I would take a bench warmer for Dillon Gabriel.
Well, now you've got it, Daryl. Now you're in my zone. All right, top 3 things you take. It has to be 3, Nick. I don't know if you've power ranked before.
I'm gonna go tackling dummy number 3.
Okay.
I'm gonna go because I don't want the draft pick. I'm gonna go air compressor 2.
Okay.
And bench warmer number 1 can be a player or an actual bench warmer.
A bench that warms.
Yes.
Okay. I'm gonna go number 3. A can of Pringles. The original Pringles, not any of these new flavored ones that they're putting out. Number 2, I'll take a bag of footballs. If I can't get an actual thing for Dillon Gabriel, I'll at least take a bag of footballs. And the number 1 thing that I would want for Dillon Gabriel is Xavier Watts, free safety out of Notre Dame, who the Browns should have drafted over Dillon Gabriel, and he wound up on the Atlanta Falcons. I'll take that guy because that was the guy that they should have drafted with the 94th overall pick over Dillon Gabriel.
All right.
It's come to that.
You did it.
We're willing to trade for inanimate objects.
I'm going to take chicken wings from Magic City, but hey, you guys
what?
Do your thing, I'll do mine.
We'll take a free night at Magic City. How about that? By the way, there's a documentary on that place somewhere. And
Jason Lloyd's still one of the 4 articles he's written in the last decade that he's actually published. But the
what did Jason
the week he
do?
spent at the Super Bowl in Atlanta, traversing the gentlemen's clubs, it's a top one.
Listen, I respect all the stars that participated in the Magic City documentary that is on one of these streaming services. You'll just have to do your own research. If they would like to sponsor the program, I'd be happy to tell you which one, but I do not believe they are a current sponsor. Therefore, no free rides on the Ken Carman Show with Anthony Lima when I'm filling in. 216-474-0092. A lot of conversation about the coaching search. I have some theories, Nick. I want to throw your way because I've done enough. You're right. Fair critic. I've done a lot of complaining this morning. And I need to bring tangible solutions to the table. So, one theory that I have, the Browns are going to end up with both Grant Udinski and Nate Scheelhaase. Udinski head coach, Scheelhaase gets a promotion instead of having to basically transcribe Sean McVay's brilliance there out in Los Angeles. He gets to come to Cleveland and be the offensive coordinator and call plays here.
It would be a step up. That is the one thing with Scheelhaase is that he is really 2 jobs away from being the head coach. He is an offensive coordinator. That's usually the next progression in offensive stepping stone and then head coach. And he also just doesn't have a lot of NFL experience. This is only his 2nd year with the Los Angeles Rams. Like you look at some of the other candidates, like Tommy Reese, it would technically be a more qualified quote unquote candidate than Nathan Scheelhaase. So that's the one thing that gives me pause with him is he is super green and super inexperienced, and I do wonder if he would entertain a coordinator job. You know what else you've got to be a little bit leery of with him is that, according to reports, his meeting with the Steelers went phenomenally. And I wonder if they're trying to orchestrate a world where they could hire Mike McCarthy and steal your logic right there to bring Scheelhaase in as McCarthy's OC. So they have that kind of old guard Pittsburgh. We're going to get the experienced head coach, but then we could have some of this new McVay lifeblood at OC with Scheelhaase leading the offense. I wonder if that's kind of what they're thinking in Yinzertown as well.
Well, I already have the pit in my stomach feeling that the Jesse Minter hire by the Baltimore Ravens is not going to go well for the Browns. They've got basically the younger version now of John Harbaugh. They fired John Harbaugh only to hire one of his proteges.
Well, and I saw that that video was going around X yesterday when they made that official. That when he was, stormed the Ohio State fans in the sideline.
Oh, he was waving to them.
And he was waving to them. So yeah, some of the stuff for the rivalry is already a little bit pre-written with Jesse Minter, especially because he stood up the Browns yesterday. I think there will be a lot of fans that want to see the Browns beat Baltimore twice a year, a little bit extra now.
Well, I'm going to defend him. He didn't stand him up. He was negotiating his contract with the Ravens. Like, I can't hate on the guy for saying, hey, sorry, I can't make the interview because I'm negotiating to become the Baltimore Ravens' next head coach.
You would hope, and I don't think this is going to happen, but you would hope that if things go well with Udinski today, he pulls a McDaniel and a Minter on Buffalo and tells them Sunday, hey, I'm not coming.
So,
right?
Yeah.
You would hope that he would just cancel on the Bills if he leaves today with a good feeling of either saying, hey, I'm going to go back to Jacksonville and spend another year time on task at my job at OC, or I'm going to go be the next head coach of the Browns.
Did you just drop a time on task on a Friday?
Yeah, like another year on the job is what I meant.
So any faithful listeners to the Sunday show with Nick and I know that we're a welcoming show. We take calls from across the country. We've gotten calls from California, Washington, Texas. Gerald is in, I guess, West Virginia right now, if I'm reading this correctly. Gerald in West Virginia. Good morning. You're first up on the Fan. How you doing, Gerald?
Good. How are you guys doing today?
Good. What you got for us?
Okay, so kind of like what you said, they need somebody who's an established voice, who's got a good resume, who has some experience. What they need and what they're looking for are two different things.
Mm-hmm.
They need a drill instructor. They are looking for a guy to more fall in line with their plans and what they have going for them.
Yep.
And then you have Andrew Berry, who we know has a tendency to overdraft players, overthink things, draft the wrong position when they're looking for talent. And like you said, they do not have a bevy of offensive talent. They need to rebuild the offensive line. They have a good running back who's coming off a major injury, but they do have a tight end.
They got work to do, and thanks so much for the call, Gerald. There's no question they got a lot of work that they have to do, and this new young head coach, who I think it's going to be a young head coach, I don't think it's going to be Jim Schwartz. I don't think it's going to be Todd Monken. They got their work, cut out for them. But today, it's all about Grant Udinski selling himself to the Browns and how he's going to get this thing on track. 216-474-0092. It's the Ken Carman Show with Anthony Lima. The boys are off. It's Daryl and Nick with you till 10 on The Fan.
By now, you guys.
7 to 6. Get all the latest Browns content filtered right to your phone during the offseason by following the Browns playlist and 92.3 The Fan on the Odyssey app. Headline sports news every 20 minutes right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas.
Missed a moment in our show? Use the rewind feature on the Odyssey app, powered by Integrated Restoration, your local experts in water, fire, and storm disaster restoration. It's the Ken Carman Show with Anthony Lima, Daryl Ryder, Nick Padone in for the boys. We'll be back on Monday. Is that correct, Owen?
I believe so.
Okay,
Who knows?
Just wanted to confirm. That's all. Never assume anything.
Who knows? Who knows if Lima will even still be in the state by then?
I mean,
an extra day at home with his family might force him to just
want
take
to come
off
to
and
work.
Never come back again. Oh, he powered through yesterday. I asked him on Wednesday. I said, "You coming in Thursday?" He goes, "Oh yeah, I'm not staying there. I'm doing an extra day there."
Well, hopefully Lima's feeling better and uses the weekend to recover. Championship Sunday. Browns, of course, not participating. We know this. They're still looking for their next head coach. Grant Udinski's going to talk to him today. Then, sometime next week, Nate Shieldhouse will talk to them. The Rams pass game specialist / Sean McVay transcriber.
Now, the nightmare scenario is
that they get neither one of these guys?
No, because they will. But the nightmare scenario, I think, is I think Udinski's going to show up today because they said that the first interview with him went really well. It was remote, lasted 3 hours, like really positive stuff there. So
they maxed it out.
I think he shows. But if Shieldhouse doesn't show up, because that one has not been scheduled. We believe it's early next week, right? But we don't know the exact day because he's
a little busy.
He's got some fish to fry, you know. Yeah. Pass game coordinator. I got a pass game to coordinate here with Matt Stafford and Puka Nacua. So he's a little busy right now. But that would be like the nightmare scenarios. If they hadn't really heard from him. Okay, he's getting ready for the NFC Championship game. Ready to do this interview Monday, Tuesday. Come to Wednesday. Come to find he's gonna go be the Steelers' offensive coordinator with Mike McCarthy. Like that would probably make me crack.
Yeah, and that would be, of course, the Browns' luck. I do believe Jim Schwartz is the fallback option. If they can't get the guy they want, they've got him in-house. They can just promote him, and then they'll fire him in a year or two.
So you said that piece with Schwartz. Like, to me, if they hire Jim Schwartz, that would be the most like lame duck hire that you could possibly make. Because this year, when they fired Kevin, Jimmy Haslam said that he felt like the talent on that this roster was too talented for 8 wins over the last 2 seasons. Well, with Jim Schwartz, who would be a defensive-minded head coach,
who, by the way, is the reason that they were able to win
those 8 games, it would feel like you're probably signed up to win 8 more games over the next 2 years, and then you probably fire Jim Schwartz, and you're doing this all over again. If not in 2027, I could see a real world where the defense isn't what it was this past year. The offense isn't going to have some night and day growth, regardless of what they do at coordinator, right? Because you're still looking for a permanent solution at quarterback. You're still looking for pass catchers. You're still looking for offensive line. They would just 2027. They would say, "Hey Jim, this hasn't worked, and we're going to go in a different direction."
And then we'll get another speech from Jimmy Haslam about how we're not tolerating losing, even though that's all you've done since this franchise has come back, and done it in a very painful fashion, as in the product on the field is unwatchable at times. In the last 2 years, at least from an offensive perspective, in a league that is driven for offense, it's been unwatchable. And the reason for that is you don't have a quarterback. And I said this after they fired Kevin Stefanski. I maintain it. It doesn't even matter who they hire. You know what? All these guys know X's and O's and schemes and game planning and personnel, and they know all that stuff. That's not even in dispute. It doesn't matter if they don't have a quarterback. And until the Browns get that figured out and solved, and listen, to your point earlier about, hey, you just got to keep taking your swings. Well, they've taken 42 of them. And they've taken 13 of them in the last 6 years. and they're 0 for 42. Baker was the closest they came. Here's the sad stat of Baker Mayfield's tenure with the Browns, and that is this. His 53 consecutive starts, including the playoffs, were the most since the late 70s and early 80s. Brian Sipe. Okay, so we can't even get to can you play at the Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes level, Joe Burrow level. It's can you just even be available to show up every Sunday? That's the ground floor. It's can you show up? Then it's, okay, now we're going to fight over whether or not you're good enough to get a big contract and be the face of the franchise for years to come. We at least got there with Baker. Now, the ultimate verdict was the answer to that is no. But then they compounded the problem. They traded one knucklehead for another knucklehead who came with the worst of the worst baggage you can possibly imagine. And they said, yeah, let's sign us up for that at $230 million fully guaranteed. And then Deshaun hasn't been available. So until they get this thing figured out, they're dead where they stand, regardless if they hire Nate Scheelhaus and he turns out to be the next Bill Belichick, whether they hire Grant Udinski and he turns out to be the next Sean McVay.
So here's what I would do. This, to me, is actually a lot simpler than what we're making it out to be. I would hire Udinski because he has the proven track record of working with retread quarterbacks with Sam Darnold in Minnesota and younger quarterbacks in Trevor Lawrence in Jacksonville. I'd make him the head coach, and I would see what you could get out of the quarterback room this year. And nobody wants to hear that. I get it. But I would start the season with Shedeur. If he ain't it, I'd see if Deshaun Watson could be a retread, and I got an inkling how that's going to go. With the 6th pick in the draft, I'm trading back, and I'm getting another first-round pick in 2027. And then in 2027, I'm armed with 2 first-round picks if I need to make that jump up and get Udinski, his franchise guy here in Cleveland, in the first round. Because we could sit here and we bemoan the fact that they've been through 40-some starting quarterbacks since 1999. The big stat there, though, is not many of those dudes in the 40 were first-round picks. You got Johnny Manziel was a first-round pick, Tim Couch, obviously, Baker Mayfield, Brandon Weeden. That's about where the list ends of first-round picks of those 40-plus quarterbacks. So I think until you really take a serious swing in the first round of the NFL draft, you can't say that your new head coach with these quarterbacks have been an abject failure. Whoever you're getting ready to hire here, you got to at least give them a premium young quarterback for them to develop.
So 2 things. It can't be the first overall pick. It can't be the number 22 overall pick, and it cannot be a 3rd-round pick.
The 22 overall pick is absolutely cursed. That's a non-starter.
There are parameters that we need to firmly set in place when it comes to where the Browns are picking this quarterback.
We'd be kosher with the 2nd pick, 3rd pick.
What, second round pick?
No, 2nd overall.
Yes.
I want it to be a first-round draft pick. Like, to me, second-round pick, like Deshaun Kaiser was a second-round pick that the draftniks tried to float up as, young and green and could use another year of school and could use to sit behind a starting quarterback. Hey, they took him the year after we trusted him in taking Cody Kessler. Right. Like those guys are unserious. I need a first-round pick quarterback. This year, that's not happening. We know that to be true. We know that to be fact, unless they fall in love with Ty Simpson, which I don't think would be the right maneuver.
How about some Dorian Thompson Robinson? Can we find his protege or whatever? Can we get DTR 2.0?
Did you see Kyle McCord this week wound up in a new home? He didn't even make it a year in Philly either. Neither did DTR. Didn't even make it the whole offseason in Philly. McCord wound up with the Packers, I think.
Sticking with the MC theme, McCoy. Can we get the next Colt McCoy, please? Or how about
another MC, McCown?
Yeah,
maybe he could come to town as an OC.
No, we need the Charlie Fry guys back.
Oh, the Mid-American Conference.
We need a little action.
That draft had 3 MAC quarterbacks selected
Just whatever you do, do not bring back Spurgeon.
Between Fry, Cribbs, Roethlisberger, Mid-American Conference was a hotbed at one time.
It really was. Let's not do Dylan Gabriel again.
Nope.
And I think the jury is kind of still out on Shedeur.
So you know what's scaring me, though? Because I do like Udinski. I like that he's got this proven track record with quarterbacks. The Buffalo Bills, head coaching interview schedule is set. They're going to meet with Mike McDaniel today.
Yeah.
In Florida. So they're going to him.
And then they're going to fly to L.A.
No, then they're going to fly to L.A. But Schefter just quote tweeted his own thing. All the Bills head coaching interviews this weekend will be conducted in person in Florida. So Udinski is going to be their closer Sunday in Florida.
Oh, boy.
So you could just, if you're Buffalo and Udinski's your guy, you could just keep him in Florida, get that contract worked out, and never leave Florida.
Nothing says, please don't find out what it's really like in Buffalo, like holding all of your
interviews in Florida.
Yeah.
Is that where we've gone wrong, Owen? Should the Browns have rented a couple of hotel rooms?
I've got a guy down in Fort Walton that can get him a good deal on a condo. Right?
The condo, yeah, they need to set up maybe a timeshare
Sleeps
down
10.
there.
We can get him in.
You know what? I gotta stick up for the Bills in this case. They're getting out of Buffalo while they can still get out of Buffalo to do these interviews, because odds are getting into Buffalo would not be the easiest of things to do. So I actually, I have to defend the Bills in this case.
And just logistically, McDaniel, I have to imagine, is probably in Miami still, because that's where he was the coach. Then they're meeting Saturday with the Dolphins' defensive coordinator Anthony Weaver, who I have to imagine is in Miami, and then Udinski, who's been in Jacksonville. So
you know what? That's just great planning on their part.
Good logistics. I do envy that, because logistically here we have a big question mark unless they've done an interview with somebody that nobody knows.
I proposed David Shaw earlier today. They are being respectful of the Rooney Rule. They are trying to abide by the spirit of the Rooney Rule. They're not looking to make a mockery of it like the Dolphins did and some other teams. The Falcons have done.
But I think with every fleeting moment that they don't announce, like a JT Barrett or a Webb, for one of these interviews, like the thought that they've met with somebody behind closed doors, and whether it be a college coach or somebody that just
announcing
doesn't.
It's the agents. The agents are typically, the league sources are usually the ones that make it known to the NFL insiders who is going where to interview where.
But every moment that doesn't happen, where we don't get word, it kind of leads me to believe, well, what's going on?
Maybe they already did it.
Like it's Friday.
There's a part of me, okay, if we go through the weekend, if we do our Sunday show, Nick,
yep,
and we get to
the championship games.
The championship games, we wake up Monday morning and there's been no other interview announcements other than what we already know. All right? That will, to me, signal they did one in secret. They talked to a college coach in secret. They'll write the name down on the paperwork that they have to file with the league office.
There will be a
details.
couple people in the league office that know, and Jimmy Haslam and Andrew Berry, and that'll be the extent of it.
Because you don't want to mess with the transfer portal. You don't want to mess with the NIL if it gets out there. These college coaches have to keep that stuff buttoned up. And their agents want that stuff kept buttoned up too. See, when you don't want it buttoned up is when they're looking to make the move.
Right, when they want to apply the pressure.
When they want to either apply the pressure to get a new contract where they're at, or to make the jump to the NFL. That's when that kind of stuff tends to pop. Look at the Notre Dame situation. I kind of felt like Marcus Freeman wanted to make the jump for a moment. There was a part of me that was thinking, he's totally preparing himself to make the jump when he put out there. I think it was on X. He put out the run it back or whatever with the Shamrock and all that. I was like, I don't know that I 100% buy this. And then he had the press conference where he's like, I'm staying at Notre Dame. I'm committed to the Fighting Irish and all that kind of stuff. I'm like, but are you really committed?
Right.
I wasn't completely sold on that situation. Listen.
Steve Sarkisian as well is another fascinating one, because remember that report came out months ago that he'd be interested in coaching the Titans, like right after they fired Callahan down there, and then you just never really heard of that name ever again. He quickly stomped it out and said, that's not true. I'm committed to Texas, but that never resurfaced ever again.
All I know is you and I have not been invited to fly down to Florida to talk to folks about these NFL.
Yeah, and you know what?
Check on your phone. You might get it.
And you know what?
Checking now.
I haven't
still
withdrawn my name, though, is the thing. I am still available, and I don't even have an agent, so they can just reach me directly.
Yeah, I'm checking my phone right now.
Head down. Maybe just head down and see if they'll.
I was there last weekend. I didn't see anybody down there.
You know what? Find the hotel that they're going to stay at, and park yourself there at the bar, and maybe you can at least get around on them. 216-474-0092. It is Grant Udinski talking to the Browns today. One of the two young and up-and-comers that are finalists for this head coaching job. We'll have more. It's Daryl Ryder, Nick Padone, in for Ken and Anthony on the Ken Carman Show with Anthony Lima right here on The Fan.
Nick Wilson here for Northeast Factory Direct.
takes an unexpected turn, there's one thing that's remained the same. When you're hurt in a car, you call KNR.
If you need to make a beer run this weekend, relax. You won't miss a moment of the action. We are the radio home of the NFL playoffs and the Super Bowl. We are Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
Championship weekend is upon us. Patriots and Broncos for the AFC. And then in the NFC, you've got the Rams and the Seahawks. Who are you rooting for this weekend? I'm going Seattle. I got family in Seattle, so I gotta, it's funny. I get the text messages. They want nothing to do with sports. They don't care what I do for a living, like not into sports, but like when things are going good in Seattle where they live, they're right across, I guess you can call it the bay from the stadium, so they can hear when good things happen. And so I was getting text messages during last week's game. The crowd would cheer, and I'm like, yeah, opening kickoff, return for a touchdown is good. More cheer. Oh, yeah, they're up big. You're going to win the game. Cannons are going, oh, yep, they won. They're going to the NFC, championship game. And they text back, yay, Seattle sports ball. Whether it's Mariners, whether it's the Kraken, whether it's the Seahawks. So I kind of feel like obligated to root for the Seahawks this weekend. Plus, does anyone in Los Angeles really care about the Rams?
And not to mention, so like I knew Jackson Smith-Njigba was going to be a good NFL player because all Ohio State Buckeye receivers for the most part are. But, dude, I don't think anybody saw this coming. He is quite literally the best receiver in the league right now.
And Sam Darnold, too. Like, I don't know that a lot of people saw that coming with him this past season as well. And, look, I mean, the Matthew Stafford, Jared Goff trade, I think, has worked out well for both the Rams and the Lions. I think we could agree with that. That's one of those rare trades where both teams really seem to benefit from them. But, yeah, you've got two veteran quarterbacks in Stafford and Darnold with an opportunity to really, do something special with their, with their careers that look like they both were about to be derailed.
Yeah, I saw a really interesting take about this, and it's whichever quarterback wins the Super Bowl this year, like the narratives are going to just be insane. Like if Stafford wins it, he's a surefire, no doubt, first ballot Hall of Famer with 2 Super Bowl titles under his belt and probably an MVP this season.
Right.
If Drake May wins it in his second year with the Patriots, it would be talks of early dynasty, early days Tom Brady.
He's
all
the next
over
Patrick
again in
Mahomes,
Foxborough.
right?
That would be the narrative there. If Stidham wins it, it would be Nick Foles on steroids for Broncos fans who have been starved for their Elway successor, or maybe never get it if Stidham's the guy that leads you to the promised land after Bo Nix puts together.
They had a temporary successor in Peyton Manning who won him a Super Bowl. Let's not forget about that.
I have a clear favorite. I am rooting for Jared Stidham and the Broncos for one reason only.
Okay.
I'm a huge Chiefs fan, and so I should hate the Broncos. But I think the chaos that it could create in Denver, where you have a guy that comes in, you have
like
your
Carson
franchise
Wentz.
quarterback.
Carson Wentz is it up.
I need that chaos to happen. I need them to get off that mountain. It's only been one. The Chiefs won the division 9 straight years. It's only been 1 year they haven't won it. I need to get all that back. So let's get the chaos going. I need it to happen. I hate the Broncos. I want it all to blow up in their face, and I only see one way to make sure that happens, and that's to actually give them a win.
I do have to say, though, as a Browns fan, I'm remarkably jealous of the pool that's left because, like, the Patriots were just – if it's Patriots-Rams, that was the Super Bowl 6 years ago, except it was Brady and the Patriots, so they weren't down for too long. Seattle, if they're back in there, they were just there for how many years with the Legion of Boom and Pete Carroll, and they're right back in the thick of it, even though it looks completely different. Like, none of these teams were down for very long, and that just makes me so jealous.
I'm just, from a jealousy standpoint, again, I go back to Darnold and Stafford, right? Guys trying to resurrect their careers, and they seemingly have done that. Yeah. The Patriots finding their Tom Brady successor in Drake May. And then I kind of like I like Owen's Trojan horse theory there. Yeah. And here's why I might be rooting for Stidham. It's just so we can, beg the Browns all offseason to trade for him.
It does create great things if you're in sports talk radio in Cleveland. It gives you another name because, we've done Malik Willis now for a week, right? And
yeah.
I don't know how much longer that train can roll. Of course, there'll be free agency time and all of that where we'll throw it back out. And
I kind of feel like he's going to end up in Miami.
Yeah.
Because that's where the Green Bay boys are, right? They're in Miami. And here's the thing. If we don't hear the Dolphins being associated with interest in Malik, radioactive. Stay away because they were with them.
Right.
So if they aren't interested in making a move there, that's radioactive. Stay away. Not interested. That will be the tell.
And also too, like Malik Willis just doesn't move me. And I know that debate's been had in here and there. I don't really want to redo the whole debate. It just doesn't.
I got to look up his preseason numbers. How well does he play in meaningless football games, right? Because isn't that the barometer we're always using here in Cleveland? Oh, but he looked amazing in the preseason. That's usually.
Well, you got to give me what his passing stats were for day 4 of camp. That's where
right.
That's where I really lean heavily on
the tracker.
What does the chart look like on day 4 of camp when they're not running any 7-on-7 or 11-on-11? They're throwing against there. He's lighting it up against there. It brings me back to the days of Brandon Weeden. Guy looked like Joe Montana without a defense on the field. Then they put a defense on the field, and reality came crashing down for all of us. So, all right, so let's go around the room real quick. AFC Championship game, Patriots at Broncos, Drake May, Jarrett Stidham, Owen, not who do you want to win, who do you think's winning that game?
Yeah, I think the Patriots are winning.
Okay.
I mean, if I'm using my logical football brain, they've got one of the best leaders in the National Football League in Vrabel. They've got a young up-and-coming, quarterback. I hate to see him win. I think the difference, it was the same way that I felt when the Bengals won and got to the Super Bowl. The only difference is I think Zach Taylor is a goofball and got lucky to be where he's at. And he's with an organization that they don't retain their coaches because of any sort of metric that they see and how that helps with an organizational stability. They do it because they're too cheap to do anything else. So I do think the Patriots are probably the winner here. That Denver defense is really good, though.
Yeah.
So if they have a chance, it's got to be a low-scoring thing.
If only, we do have a good defense. It's the offense I keep forgetting these things.
And that's why I'm optimistic about this, because I think if you could fix the offense, your defense is ready to go. And you look around the league, these defenses are all awesome. Like, defenses are back. So you just
all 4 of these teams
have awesome defenses. So you just need an offense that could keep head above water. And obviously that's been a task for the Browns over the last 6 years, but
my fear is that the Browns defense, by the time they fix the offense, then the defense is on the decline. That's my fear. Who you got on Sunday? Patriots Broncos. There,
I'm gonna take the Patriots as well. I'm gonna think with my brain. I think Vrabel's too smart. He's gonna just deploy defensive schemes, like we're talking about. Defense matters. That's just gonna make Stidham's head spin. And I'm pulling for Stiddy, but I don't think he's going to be able to do it.
Did you just call him Stiddy?
That's what Sean Payton called him earlier this week, and I'm rolling with it. If Sean Payton's saying it.
Well, I guess if Sean Payton's saying it. I hate both of these teams. I'm going to pick with my brain. I think the Patriots are going to win.
Sweet.
Yeah, kills me to see them getting back to the Super Bowl. Kills me them having a second-year quarterback, first-year head coach. The Browns should have hired here. The Patriots are going back to the Super Bowl. NFC Rams and Seahawks. We've got the fabulous Matthew Stafford, Sam Darnold matchup. Owen, who you got?
Brain says Seattle. This is a game of 2 teams that I never watched, never will, never have. I don't plan on, I'll watch this game. It'll be it'll be news to me on what's going on outside of the quarterback position or the wide receivers for either one of these teams.
Yeah, so Brain says Seattle, yet we always say that it's a coaching quarterback league, and I think if that's what we're basing this off of, I'm going to trust Stafford and McVay more than I'm going to trust McDonald, who's been incredible, and Darnold, so I'll take the Rams.
I'm gonna take the Seahawks, partially because I feel obligated to. I think I have to take the Seahawks. Also, too, because the Browns are in the middle of a coaching search, and they
could use that Rams coach to free up.
They really need to be able to hire Nate Scheelhaase if they choose to do so, whether it's to be their head coach or their offensive coordinator. I have skin in the game here. So I am going to take the Seahawks over the Rams. And, of course, you can hear both of those games, Championship Sunday, right here on The Fan. 3 hours down, one more to go here on Friday. It's the Ken Carman Show with Anthony Lima. The boys are out. Daryl Ryder, Nick Padone in with you till 10 on The Fan.
This is
Catch highlights from The Fan from earlier today. Get over to 923thefan.com or favorite 923 The Fan on the Odyssey app for all today's headline segments. Headline sports news every 20 minutes right here on 923 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas.
Want to talk Browns while you're at work? Baskin and Phelps, weekdays starting at 10 on 92.3 The Fan.
92.3 The Fan is looking for a winner. Enter the code PINK, P-I-N-K, at 923thefan.com before 10 a.m. for your chance to win a pair of lawn tickets to see John Mellencamp Dancing Words Tour, the greatest hits, July 21st at Blossom Music Center as part of the Minimum Workforce Solutions Concert Series. Tickets on sale this Friday, January 23rd. I believe that's right? Today? Today is January 23rd. At 10 a.m. at livenation.com. Good luck. Mellencamp coming back to town. It's Daryl Ryder, Nick Padone in for the boys. Ken and Anthony have the day off. We think they're going to be back on Monday. At least one of them, Ken. I guess Lima's under the weather, so I hope he feels better soon. Combing through this Browns coaching search. Grant Udinski's going to talk today. A lot of news this morning coming out of Buffalo with not only the involvement of Josh Allen in that particular coaching search, but the fact that the Bills are lining up their Rooney Rule candidates. They're going to be in position if they would like to hire Grant Udinski this weekend. They're going to be able to do it, whereas the Cleveland Browns will not. They do not have, right now, they have not fulfilled the Rooney Rule.
At least that we know of.
That we know of. We know Nate Fieldhouse was going to be one of those candidates. Mike McDaniel did not interview with the Browns earlier this week because he wanted to go be the Chargers offensive coordinator, but now he today is interviewing with the Bills down in South Florida for the head coach job. I don't think he's going to get it, but he's helping them out, I think. And, the Browns, the worst case scenario for them, they want to hire Udinski and he ends up in Buffalo.
That'd be bad. But he's the closer in Buffalo. He's the last interview that they've got scheduled currently. That's going to take place Sunday down there in Florida. So
was Jesse Minter in Baltimore. So was Kevin Stefanski in Atlanta.
Just a little bit of coaching news, AFC North coaching news. Chargers have requested Ravens DC Zach Orr to interview for their vacant job that Jesse Minter left vacant because he went to be the Ravens head coach now. So just AFC North news. It's not really breaking or anything.
A little defensive coordinator swap could be in the works.
Well, thanks for Jesse Minter, and now
you take ours, we'll take yours.
Jim Schwartz is another part of this equation. Under what circumstances is he willing to stay with the Browns? Would he be willing to stay and work under either Udinski or Fieldhouse? If they don't promote him, I kind of feel like Jim Schwartz is the Mike Pettin in this scenario. He is we couldn't get anybody else. Because I feel like that if Jim Schwartz was the guy, okay, this would have been done already.
What more could you possibly need to know about Jim Schwartz? He's been in your building for 3 years.
Right.
So that's even why I thought it was like a little bit interesting that they met with him first in the second round of interviews, because it's like, what more is there really to know? Like, what more are you guys searching for that you lead off with Jim so you know that he's an option that you could have in your back pocket while you start to orchestrate some of the others, the Munkins, the McDaniels, the Minters. Obviously, those ones fell through, but now, your younger candidates in Udinski and Fieldhouse, like, Monday feels like a long time ago when Jim Schwartz had that second interview. A lot's changed since then.
I've had a lot of hair on my head turn gray since Monday. That is how long this week has been.
Well, let me ask you this, Daryl. Should Browns fans then, we were talking about the championship weekend a little bit in the last segment, should Browns fans really be pulling for Seattle so Fieldhouse is eliminated from this thing so we could move forward if Fieldhouse is the guy that they want to hire, regardless of outcome? I feel like maybe Browns fans should be pulling for Seattle so Nate frees up so you can hire him, because now, like, Owen's already reading coordinators are getting hired. Like, You're going to want to build a staff around this guy that's only been in the National Football League for 2 years. I can't imagine Shieldhouse has a really deep Rolodex of connections that he could call to come be assistants on his staff when he's only been in the league for 2 years.
Well, and this is the benefit if you're able to keep Jim Schwartz. That's a major chunk of the coaching staff that's taken care of, and you only have to worry about who's your special teams coordinator going to be. And
the whole rest of the offense, though, who's the running back coach? Who's the offensive line coach? Who's coaching the receivers? Because Shadow Shea's gone. The bad man is actually gone.
By the way, why is Bubba Ventrone still here?
He's still the associate head coach.
Why?
He's next in line.
I don't care what his title is. Why is he still here?
You could have asked that question after week 1 of the season.
I was asking that question week 3 of the season. I was asking that very question. I think I asked it on a weekly basis. Why is he still here? And especially after the shots he took at the front office late in the season.
Did Kevin hire a special teams coordinator yet in Atlanta?
No.
Could you hook me up with one of the Atlanta radio stations, and I'll go on and do an interview there and talk about Kevin and Tommy Reese, and I'll mention, and Callahan, they've got the whole band. I'll mention on there. I'll say, you know what? Up here in Cleveland, we've got a guy who got such a bad rap in town. His name's Bubba Ventrone. He even came out and bemoaned the fact that he doesn't really have a special teams ace. That's not something that you guys had Cordell Patterson for all those years down here. Atlanta's a place that cares about special teams. I got just the guy for you guys, Atlanta and the Falcons. It's Bubba Ventrone. Daryl, you got to orchestrate. That's how this. You gotta get me on in the radio down there.
It's not my job to book Atlanta radio stations guests. I have enough on my plate.
Hey, you got to think about the greater good, though. I'm the chip that's going to get Bubba Ventrone out of town and bridge him to his next job with the Falcons.
Okay, I just double-checked to make sure that Kevin Stefanski had not filled the special teams coordinator job in Atlanta real quick. He has not.
It's vacant.
It is an open position. Bubba,
are they covering that in Atlanta right now? They should be. They should be. We learned firsthand just how important that special teams coordinator is this year.
He kept Ulbrich down there to be the defensive coordinator. Tommy Reese is down there as the OC. Got his guy Bill Callahan to handle his offensive line. Kept a couple of the offensive assistants. Kept a couple of the defensive assistants as well.
So what's one more? What's adding Bubba Ventrone to the list? I don't think you're. It's not.
I'm all for getting Bubba out of here as quickly as possible because I thought he did a terrible job. Now Bubba will tell you otherwise. He'll tell you what a great job he did, even though they couldn't block on kick protect, they couldn't block on returns, they couldn't return. They certainly
couldn't cover on punt.
Yeah, you certainly couldn't. You're right about that. It got punts blocked, right?
Right.
Numerous times.
You know what? I just figured. It hit me. It just hit me right now.
What? That he didn't have a special teams ace?
No. Why he's still here?
Oh.
It's one of the reasons Andrew Berry kept his job. Andre Schmidt. He straightened out Andre Schmidt. That's what that. It just dawned on me because I'm trying to go through right all these things that went wrong on special teams this year, and this guy is still not been fired, and they're gonna, I guess, leave it up to the new head coach, whoever that's going to be, to decide whether or not he gets to stay on as special teams coordinator. I totally forgot Andre Schmidt, cornerstone of the Cleveland Browns, according to Jimmy Haslam, and quite the find by Andrew Berry. There it is. That's why.
Daryl, people would lose their minds if whatever coach that they hire, whether it's Schwartz, whether it's Udinski, whether it's Shieldhouse, whether they hire Todd Monken as the head coach of this thing, whoever they decide on, if that guy decides to keep Bubba Ventrone as the special teams coordinator, people's brains will break.
Well, I think people's brains are going to break regardless of who they hire for a multitude of reasons, many of which we've covered this morning, Nick. It's probably going to be a young offensive coach, Shieldhouse, Udinski, coming to an organization that is not known for cultivating quality head coaches. see the likes of Rob Chudzinski and Freddie Kitchens and Pat Shurmur, and we could be here all morning going through every coaching failure that the Browns have hired of the young up-and-comers, right? And then there's no quarterback here that we know of. Maybe it's Shedeur, maybe it's not. It's definitely not Dillon Gabriel. I think we can agree on that. It's not going to be Dillon Gabriel, okay? But the state of affairs being what they are here, makes this a challenging job. Not only do you have to learn how to be an NFL head coach on the job, because you're going to roll into the facility hopefully on a tricycle, going to have them training wheels on you.
You and the tricycle.
Yep, going to roll in on the tricycle, got them training wheels, first-time head coach, but unfortunately you're having to do it with the Cleveland Browns, who have many an issue right now, and you got to put together an offense that currently has 2 running backs and a tight end and nothing much else. Good luck to you. I mean, listen, whoever they hire, I'm going to wish them well. I'm not going to be rooting against them. I will be fair and objective and whatnot. I'm sorry. I can't get excited when this organization, who has a history of just completely blowing it, like if Grant Udinski ended up with the Buffalo Bills, I would have no problem believing that guy is going to be a successful head coach.
But if he ends up here, you're not going to think the same thing. If he ends up here, you don't think he's going to have success. It's the same guy. It's just wearing a blue hat versus wearing a brown one.
No, hang on. If Grant Udinski were to end up with the Arizona Cardinals, I don't think he's going to be successful there either. Because to me, the organization, the environment, and the personnel matter as much as the coach, because all these guys are brilliant football minds. Jim Schwartz is a brilliant football mind. Todd Monken is a brilliant football mind. Same thing with Schulhaus. Same thing with Udinski. The problem is the Browns are behind the 8 ball so bad.
Dude, it's just you're mentioning this environment in Buffalo. What environment exists? Like, they just fired their head coach also. These jobs are vacant for a reason, because they fell short in the playoffs. You've got an owner that goes up there that's blaming coaching staff for the GM's decision to draft Keon Coleman. Then the clip comes out on social media that it was Brandon Beane, the GM, that wanted Keon Coleman, completely contradicting what the owner said in his press conference. Like, I don't think it's all sunshine and rainbows in Buffalo right now, and it's not in Cleveland either. I'm not trying to prop up our situation, because this process hasn't made any sense, and if they wanted to hire Udinski today, we don't think that they even can. So it's not to put lipstick on this pig. It's just that grass ain't always greener, and just because they have Josh Allen doesn't mean that that's a better environment.
He covers a lot of problems up.
They don't have a receiver. Who's catching the football for them next year for Udinski? It's some of the same problems that we're having here. Same thing with Pittsburgh. Why aren't people talking about Pittsburgh? They have no path to solve their quarterback crisis that's been going on since Roethlisberger went away. What's the plan there? They might be further away from a plan than we are, because at least we could suffer through another year of losing and have a premier draft pick. Pittsburgh's too prideful.
Mike McDaniel's willing to interview with them. Wasn't willing to interview with the Browns. Took the Chargers coordinator job there, but he's willing to go to Buffalo. He's going to go to Miami or stay in Miami and do that interview, but he's willing to do that. And that right there tells you the difference. Like, that right there's your difference, Nick. That is, the Browns had him booked for an interview, and he said, no, I'm going to go be Jim Harbaugh's offensive coordinator. And then lo and behold, a couple of days later, here we are on Friday, and the Bills call, hey, can we interview you for the head coach job? Yeah, sure, no problem. When and where? I'll be there. That's my point. That's the difference. Mike McDaniel don't even want to talk to the Browns, but he wants to talk to the Bills, even though he's probably not getting the job. I'm just saying, like, gotta call it the way I see it. I'm just saying. But hey, one of the kids gonna talk to the Browns today. Can you feel the excitement? Feel that Grant Udinski fever? I know I have it. Not really. It's Daryl Ryder, Nick Padone, in for Ken and Tone here on The Fan.
Hey, Dustin. We have talked so much about our Nissan Diamond lately.
Best segments from all our shows, you can always listen on the Odyssey app. Headline sports news every 20 minutes right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas.
You can listen to The Fan anytime, anywhere on the free Odyssey app or by telling your smart speaker to play 92.3 The Fan. And now you can find 92.3 The Fan on YouTube, including The Ken Carman Show with Anthony Limer from 6 to 10 a.m., Baskin and Phelps 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., and Afternoon Drive with Nick Wilson and Jonathan Peterlin from 2 to 7 p.m. live each and every weekday on the 92.3 The Fan YouTube channel. Subscribe to our channel for free. Watch all the best content from your favorite shows on The Fan live and on demand now. And I hear the comment section on YouTube is always a hot time.
I've been in the chat today a little bit.
You have?
Yeah.
It's not always good for your health.
I was going to say.
It rolls off my back.
But also, if you'd like to get in the comment section, Tuesday nights 7 to 9, Daryl, you've done a good job on that show.
Oh, well, thank you very much.
You and Coach Lance and Jake.
We have a good time on the Fan.
The Browns special?
The Fan off-season special. Yes. And we're still covering a coaching search. And we're still covering a coaching search here on a bitter cold Friday morning. By the way, if you're going outside, bundle up. Do not leave much skin exposed.
Well, and take it with you because it's warmer now than it's going to be when you get off work today.
Correct.
Right.
100%. We had a poll put out this morning. Which head coach would lead to the most excitement from Browns fans entering next season? And I blame you, Nick, for this poll because you dropped the insane idea that who could be a head coach for the Browns? Go ahead, tell the folks. Remind everyone. So now you don't want to say it.
So I don't think that it's going to be.
But no. This is your theory, your thought.
It's just an idea. It's just an idea that I had. That
Stand by it.
That since they're taking their time with fulfilling this Rooney Rule, and you floated the idea multiple times throughout the week that perhaps there's a mystery candidate. And maybe it's somebody in the college football coaching ranks. And I just so happen to connect the dots that there's a head coach that's in the college ranks that has a strong connection to the current starting quarterback of the Cleveland Browns and Shedeur Sanders, and that's his dad, Coach Prime, Deion Sanders.
So Deion Sanders was included in this poll. Your options: Grant Udinski, Nate Shieldhouse, Jim Schwartz, and Deion Sanders. Those are your options on the poll on X. And, of course, our social media reactions on X brought to you by Scheibin Jewelers, Cleveland's premier jewelry store. Right now, running away with this is Grant Udinski with nearly 56% of the 55.9% for Grant Udinski. Jim Schwartz, may the Schwartz be with you, at 21.4%. Deion Sanders, though, third in line. Maybe you're not as crazy as I think you are. 14.6% say Deion. And then bringing up the old caboose there is Nate Shieldhouse at 8.1%.
So that's a little concerning that Coach Prime, who it's not going to be, is the more popular candidate than Nathan Shieldhouse, who it very well could be. That's not good, because that tells me that if they go ahead and hire Shieldhouse, that's not going to be a popular hire amongst the fans.
Well, yeah, I mean,
if fans would rather have Coach Prime, who's struggling to get wins at Colorado.
Well, this was not a who would you rather have poll, right? This would be
who's going to give the excitement? Who's going to bring the juice?
Most exciting,
right? So fans wouldn't be excited by Shieldhouse. I feel like that's not good.
No, I mean, right now he's dead last.
Would you say
Coach
he's
Prime, who it's not going to be?
Daryl, you're the Browns insider for the station, right? Would you say he would be, out of who we know to be candidates right now, is he the betting favorite?
You know what? Can I rank the candidates?
Oh, yeah, we'll do that.
Maybe I should do that, because right now we got 4 that we know of, right?
Right.
Let's rank them. Here we go. Number 4, Todd Monken.
Okay.
Number 3, Jim Schwartz. I don't believe is going to be the head coach.
Now, these are odds on, right?
These are my odds. These is me saying this and no one else. Number 2, Nate Shieldhouse, which means my leader in the clubhouse, numero uno, Grant Udinski.
Who's
the boy
probably talking to them right now, right?
Listen, they may be having breakfast. They may be having a little brunch.
Do you think they've got the station on and like the car that picks them up from the airport, and maybe they're listening to us right now?
I'm not going to flatter myself. I'm going to say odds are probably not. There are other people in the building that I guarantee you are listening, but I don't think.
And those people are Daryl.
We are definitely not going down that road, because I would like to join you guys Monday morning. I believe it's 8:20.
You might be an unemployed Browns beat reporter and just need a regular job.
That's why I'm not ranking anyone in the organization who may or may not be listening to this show right now, and very unhappy that I am less than enthused with the current coaching candidate pool, because until they find a quarterback, I just feel that the whole exercise is hopeless. Only because, just because this is, I got to count them now. This is, let's see, 6, 7, 8. This would be my 9th Browns full-time head coach.
So you don't like...
And in there, I've had 2 interim coaches, too.
So you don't like my game plan, though, that, okay, maybe this year they don't find their quarterback, but they hire one of these young guys, and then they're really putting their chips towards that 2027 draft to draft their first-round quarterback, and then pairing, that would be a 31-year-old head coach with a rookie quarterback, and that's your future right there, with an offensive line that's going to get rebuilt this season, and a wide receiver position group that's going to have a little bit of younger talent injected into it this season. There's your future right there. At that point, Myles Garrett's only 32. He's not a fossil.
I will admit. Well, no, Myles. Yeah, okay.
He'd be in 2027.
I had to do the math. Here's why I'm apprehensive and very unenthused about it, and it's simply because you're looking at another double-digit loss season, and I don't know how many more of those Browns fan has in them. Like,
so double digit would be like they go like 7-10 next year.
Like I don't know how many more you can ask your fan base to keep going through.
I feel that.
And the reason why I say that is because this franchise continues to promise short-term pain for long-term results. And this franchise never, ever delivers on the long-term result. Yeah. That's and this is why I'm struggling with this head coach search, because again, we've done the young whippersnappers, okay? We've done it and it has not worked out. And it's been an epic abject failure at the same time. So that's why I'm struggling so much with this, Nick. If this were the Ravens or the Steelers, look, the Steelers I think are in worse shape team-wise than the Browns are. But I feel like their job is more attractive because organizationally, their track record is a lot better than the Browns. Even though they're in the same quarterback hell the Browns are in, it's just not been as long. It's just been since Ben Roethlisberger, right? And they've just been trying to keep it afloat with, hodgepodge and guys together and duct tape and all that kind of thing, which, by the way, is similar to what the Browns have done. But here's the difference. To the frustration of Steeler fan, they still find a way to win 8, 9, 10 games per season. While doing that, they still find ways. Where the Browns, we can't find a guy, we don't have a guy, so we got to lose 12 games every year. Like, that's my frustration, is I look around the league at franchises that have similar problems that the Browns have, and they're real problems.
Mm-hmm. Like Pittsburgh, you can't debate. They have no quarterback and they have no path to find one.
Now, they're going to have to bottom out. If they're going to turn, they're going to have to bottom out. They're going to have to lose 12, 13, 14 games this season to get up there to position themselves to get that. But I don't care about them. I'm not interested in what it's going to take for them to turn it around or what it's going to take for them to win a playoff game. I'm concerned about the Browns, okay? I want to see the Browns do this. I'm not rooting against them. I hope whoever they hire, I hope he's here for 12 years, 13 years. I hope he turns this thing around. I hope they find their franchise quarterback. I hope Browns fans, we're sitting here every January fighting over what it's going to take for them to get to the Super Bowl, okay? Get past the divisional round or get past the conference championship, right? That's what I hope we're fighting over. Not fighting over the young up-and-coming head coach and why it doesn't feel so great, or fighting over, is Shedeur Sanders the franchise quarterback of the future? Do they got to draft the guy? Who should they draft? Which is the same conversation we have over and over again to our, we're blue in the face, right? I'd rather be in Buffalo's situation where they fired Sean McDermott, whether you agree or disagree with that decision. And, by the way, it'd be nice if the Browns could, be rumored to have some interest in him. That would be good.
What's up with that? Nobody. Not like Vegas, no. Arizona, no. And I get, you only get 2 shots at this is how this goes. And that's why a lot of people thought maybe McDaniel wasn't interested here because he wasn't going to risk his second livelihood in the NFL on the Cleveland Browns. But nothing on the McDermott front from the entire National Football League, including here in Cleveland, outside of the Mary Kay Cabot report that said they've done their homework on him and they're continuing to do homework on McDermott, but they're focused on their 2 young candidates in Udinski and Shieldhouse.
Yeah.
And you better hope, by the way, that Shieldhouse, is interested in this because they're saying that his meeting with Pittsburgh went well. And you look at the situation in L.A., didn't McVay almost consider retiring a year ago? That'd be an awful comfy job for him to just promote himself right up in Los Angeles if he wants to hang around as the pass game coordinator.
Something tells me that him having the Rams back in the NFC Championship, he's got his second wind. I feel like Sean McVay's got his second wind, and he's, because there is a lot of mental fatigue. Kevin Stefanski, I think, got mental fatigue here. 13 different starting quarterbacks, having to change out coordinators, which, by the way, is just part of the job. But, here there's, circumstances that weren't necessarily in his control when it came to changing out the coordinators and the collaboration that you have to do here. And not every decision is your decision and your fate isn't always in your hands. That wears on you. And that's, that's why, I'm at peace with them moving on from Kevin and him going to Atlanta. I wish him well. I think he's going to be successful down there. I saw what he did here with Nick Chubb and the run game, and Bill Callahan's joining him down. I have no doubts that they're going to be successful down there in Atlanta, and wish them well. But, like, I'm worried about the Browns. I'm not worried about the Steelers. I think the Ravens hiring Minter, that's going to end up being a nightmare for the Browns to deal with for years to come, but that's just the way she goes. It's on the Browns to find their guy to turn this thing around. And, you know, these guys are just so young and raw and impressionable as a young potential head coach.
Yeah.
That I worry about the circumstances here that they're being brought into and whether or not they're going to be set up for success.
I think that's fair. It's just my big thing is you've got to keep trying. Until you find your guy, you have to keep trying. Because no Super Bowl winning retread has ever won one with another team. So I'm not interested in McCarthy.
A lot of second-time head coaches struggle, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Hugh Jackson's like right at the top of that
for
list,
sure.
Right? A lot of second-time NFL
Hugh
head
Jackson,
coaches
by
struggle.
The way, and like Hugh Jackson,
but I don't think Harbaugh's going to struggle in New York.
That hire was widely nationally applauded. That the Browns went out there and they got their guy and they hired Hugh Jackson, and that was the guy that everybody around the league in 2016 wanted to hire, and the Browns got it done.
I know.
And everybody was sure that he was going to be the offensive genius and the quarterback whisperer that was going to stop our search for a franchise quarterback, and it never materialized. It never came close to materializing.
Yeah.
So, and you know what they did? Then they had to take another swing, and that next swing was Freddie Kitchens because he at least agreed with the young quarterback that they had and they were trying to develop and bring along, and that turned out to be the wrong stone. So yeah, they've unturned a couple of wrong stones and way too many wrong stones for Browns fans, and Browns fans deserve a winner, but you got to keep taking swings. And I know you want Harbaugh, and I think he could probably have some success in New York as well because, again, they invested a first-round pick into their quarterback in Jackson Dart. That's just the reality. The Browns did not do that in the first round. They drafted a defensive tackle in the first round. So it's just different reality of where the Browns are at. And I think that's why I'm not mad that they're meeting with these young offensive coordinators, because you're going to have a young offense here over the next 2 years that you're going to want a young, innovative coach to bring fresh ideas to the table.
Former Browns offensive coordinators, Bruce Arians. I think you'd agree he was widely successful, correct? Yes? You sign up for that, right? Brian Daboll, former Browns offensive coordinator under Eric Mangini. Brad Childress, Norv Turner, both really good guys. Kyle Shanahan.
Yeah, but with Norv Turner, didn't we kind of just realize at the end he was an OC?
He was at the end, but hey, still very accomplished, right? Kyle Shanahan, though. I mean, they've had
similar though with Kyle. We could be having this conversation with Kyle next year because what's he won?
All I know is, like, with whatever the 49ers went through this year, man, the fact that they got as far as they did, the situation being what it is, I quite frankly think Kyle Shanahan worked miracles.
Yeah, but if it doesn't go to the Super Bowl next year, does he get McDermotted?
I'd take
He's
him
already been to the Super Bowl twice, so he's ahead of McDermott there.
I would take him here in a heartbeat. Last call for us. Time to put a bow on this.
Here, though? I think we know our answer there.
I'm after 3 hours and 40 minutes with you, I'm ready for Tall Boy Friday. It's Daryl Ryder, Nick Padone, in for Ken and Anthony. We'll put a bow on this one next on The Fan.
Brad Evans here to help you beat the books with Westwood One Sports. Catch them all, Kyron. In the regular season, no NFL team allowed.
the latest on the Browns' search for a new head coach. This is the radio home of the Cleveland Browns. Timeout! Timeout! 92.3 The Fan.
Browns have gotten me a couple times this morning on X. They've gotten me. So they do a fantastic job with their artwork, their graphics, and things like that. You know, because today they're going to interview, or supposed to interview, Grant Udinski for the head coaching job. He is my leader in the clubhouse right now to get that job. And I've been caught by happy birthday greetings instead. Like, I was waiting for the announcement that, hey, we are interviewing Grant Udinski for our head coaching opening with a photo of Grant and the Browns graphic and all that kind of stuff. Instead, it's been happy birthday to Eric Metcalf and happy birthday to Phil Dawson. So twice they have gotten me this morning because I see their account, I see a graphic, and I'm like, oh, they announced the Udinski interview, and no, it's to wish someone a happy birthday. So I almost got twice by the Browns this morning by their social media account as we await the official word from the team that they, in fact, have or are speaking with Grant Udinski today. I know you're fired up for it, Nick.
Yeah.
You are ready to go. For him to be the next head coach at this point, just pick somebody.
So I'm not ruling out Shieldhouse in this entire thing though either as a head coach. I think Udinski probably would be the better fit just because it feels like he's a little bit further along as a coordinator versus, the passing game coordinator. At least Udinski's the OC in Jacksonville. And
I'm greedy. Give me them both. Make Shieldhouse the offensive coordinator. Give him a promotion.
I don't think you're getting that wish because I think Shieldhouse turned down Jacksonville last year because he wanted to stay with McVay, which hard to blame him. That's fine. A guy that you want to be around. But I just think that Udinski's experience with quarterbacks, and that's ultimately what we're after solving here. That's where the conversation with this coaching search really started and finished. Because when you're talking about letting go of Kevin Stefanski, it's that he had, 11 different starting quarterbacks during his 6 seasons here, and he wasn't really able to make it work with any of them. Sustained, and that's how you get the search started, and it wraps up, I think, with an offensive-minded guy that will help this organization solve their quarterback crisis, whether it's with Shedeur Sanders, who already exists inside of the building, or somebody else in the NFL draft, or a young retread quarterback like a Mac Jones or Malik Willis. I think this all does start and end with quarterback, and the options that they have on the table there are going to influence the decision that they make at this head coaching hire.
And it's also why Mike McDaniel will interview with the Bills today, but declined the Browns' invitation for an in-person conversation on Tuesday. And it's why, this list is what it is. Listen, you know what I'm waiting for right now? I'm waiting for the 5th candidate. I'm waiting to see who it is that they're going to talk to, not just to comply with the Rooney Rule, because we've talked about this morning. The Browns aren't into the performative
They're not trying to just check the box to tell the league, see here, we told you we did, and we did. They want this to be meaningful. They want to do this the right way.
100%. So I am on the edge of my seat to find out who that candidate is going to be. Who is the 5th name in the hopper? Now, I don't think they're going to get the job, okay? But I do think that, it's got to be someone.
So if you had to bet how all these prediction markets, you could bet on anything nowadays. Okay. If you had to bet on that they announce who the next candidate is, or that it'll be a mystery candidate that's never announced, which one would you bet on?
I'm going to go with they have already interviewed someone in the college ranks, and they're keeping it confidential, and will file the appropriate paperwork with the league office.
So you think at publicly facing, we know what we know already? That this is it. There's not going to be anybody else that comes into the public sphere.
Well, they've had a lot of time in the last couple of days to
Literally, no interview Wednesday, McDaniel canceled. No interview yesterday, Minter canceled. Now we've got this report
and right now, getting in and out of Cleveland, not that hard right now, at least until Sunday.
And we'll see about our show on Sunday. We've got this from Jeremy Fowler. Browns indeed hosting Jaguars OC Grant Udinski today in Cleveland. The interest in Udinski is real. The expectation as of now is Cleveland goes into next week with the search and definitely wants to speak with Rams assistant Nate Scheelhaus, but Udinski has his chance to impress in person.
Well, and this is what we have been saying.
This phrasing is convenient to me. The expectation as of now is that Cleveland goes into next week with the search. That's the expectation. We thought that was going to be the requirement, is that they were going to need to go into next week.
Well, unless they
have maybe met with 2 mystery candidates,
right? Yeah, unless they've got 2 in the hopper that they're going to speak with tomorrow, because remember, they can't talk to Scheelhaus
until Monday at earliest.
Right,
like, that's not to say that the snow or something else pushes that till Tuesday.
And the NFC Championship is game 2, correct, Owen? Right? AFC's at 3:30, and the NFC
is at night.
Is the night game. So now this has happened before. We've seen it where you've gone from the championship game to the next morning, if you're on the losing end, to getting hired somewhere. But
that's how Kevin got in. They lost on a Saturday. He was hired on Sunday.
Yeah.
And that was it was Saleh versus, it was Niners Vikings, right? But
yeah.
Whoever loses, the other one wins, right?
Right. So, but again, the problem is they have to speak to Scheelhaus, at least as we understand the situation right now, for the renewal. Also, too, it would be malpractice. And I have written this on X at some point this week in a post. It would be organizational and coaching search malpractice if they did not speak to Scheelhaus at this point. Yeah, you have to talk to the guy. Okay, you have to do it. You've come this far. Let's go ahead and push this thing across the finish line and talk to him. And that's why this search is going into next week. That's why when people were freaking out yesterday about Jesse Minter going to Baltimore, and listen, this coaching search was going into next week, whether they talked to Jesse Minter yesterday or not.
Yeah, but this
coaching search was going into next week, whether they talked to Mike McDaniel earlier this week or not. It always was going into next week.
This phrasing is just fascinating to me.
What the expectation is?
The expectation as of now is Cleveland goes into the next week with the search.
Well, because I think they could be busy later tonight and Saturday. I'm telling you, they've got a whole day Saturday and also on Sunday.
And definitely and they definitely want to speak with Rams assistant Nate Scheelhaus, but Udinski has this chance. So
you've got 2 days to get in your. If in fact Udinski just absolutely blows them away today, right? Which I expect is going to happen.
I think so. Sharp dude, sharp guy.
So then you spend, like the Bills, like they've already talked to Brian Daboll. Now they're going to handle the Rooney Rule and give these gentlemen an opportunity to make their case to be the next Bills head coach. And then I think ultimately they'll just circle back to Brian Daboll, and that'll be that. And I think that's going to be the same situation here. The Browns are going to, interview Udinski today. He's going to do a great job. They're going to love what he has to say. They then should spend the weekend talking to a couple more candidates. And then you can circle back after Scheelhaus, make your decision that Udinski's your guy. Maybe you get lucky. You hire Scheelhaus to be the offensive coordinator. Maybe he still wants to stay out in Los Angeles and keep transcribing, the genius that is Sean McVay. But he's a bright guy. I think that he picked up some of it through osmosis. And, we'll see. So, all right. It's been fun. We're done. Thanks to Meredith Kane for producing. Thanks to Jeff Thomas on the 2020s. Thanks to Owen for putting up with us.
You guys are still doing your show on Sunday, right? You didn't waste it all here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're back.
Be all new
running
info,
it back
right?
Sunday.
We're back on Sunday. Thanks
8 to noon?
8 to 11.
8 to 11.
8 to 11. Thanks to Owen for putting up with us for 4 hours. Appreciate you. And thanks
Sorry
to
you
all.
didn't get your muffin.
I didn't get my muffin. I guess I'll have to go get it now. Now that we're out of here. So it's been fun. We're done. We'll do it again Sunday morning, 8 a.m. Talk to you then. Baskin and Phelps on a Friday. Special treat for you coming your way next on The Fan.
I know my rap is not the greatest ever.
Cowboy
That's
Friday,
okay,
girl.
because I'm on to my next endeavor.
Drink
I'd
up.
like to give a shout out to the Zach Gelb Show. I know that they are always